Hi, I'm Angela Meadball, and I'm the administrative assistant here in teacher education. I also graduated from here in 2002, and I worked for the state for 28 years and retired, and worked here in 17.
I'm Cy Wainwright. I am assistant professor of sports management and also assistant to the athletic director. I've taught this class since 2016, and I've been here back. I graduated here in 2009, but I've been back here 8 or 9 years.
I'm Zach Watson, assistant soccer coach, and this will be my second year teaching COL 101.
Good morning. My name is Carlton Kynert. I am the program coordinator with the Muller Center, which is located in Keller Hall on the 2nd floor. I also consider myself a utility player, also a designated hitter sometimes as well. Also part-time in the admissions office, where I'm the admissions counselor for the Newberry County, which we're bringing the biggest Newberry County class this year. So I'm excited about that, and we'll be in my College 101 102 classes. And also a proud alum of Newberry College, class of 2016.
My name is Justina Teal. I am the head cheerleading coach. This is my second year teaching college life. Didn't go here for my undergrad, but I did get my master's here as part of the first inaugural class for our master's program. I've been here for 5 years.
Awesome.
So I'm long ago.
Hey everybody, I'm Clay. I'm over here in teacher ed. I'm assistant professor and the chair of the education department, and I'm super excited to be here. I started out working at Landon University for close to 8 years, and classes I taught for many years there was College Seminar 101, so it's similar to us. Then I moved over to the Commission on Higher Education, working academic affairs there over in Columbia, and also at the State Department of Education for a while. So I'm glad to not have to drive to Columbia every day. I'm glad to be at Newberry and glad to be at college again. So
We're happy to have you.
well, thank you.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for sharing. We have, let's see, good. I think everything's right for that now. Good. All right. So we have a really good group here. I'm excited about working with you all, and I'm happy to be here today. And I hope you are too. So today is really all about just getting everybody prepped and ready for these classes so we can help our first year students transition to college. I think you all know a little bit about the course already, and today we're going to dive into the specifics, and I hope you all adopt the attitude that we are a team and we support each other, and I want to work with each other. If you see something on this syllabus 3 weeks from now and say, I'm not quite sure what we mean by what we're supposed to do with this, just ask. So let's get into what we have for you today. We've got, let's see, I think I'll change them like this. There we go, good. So first of all, I want to say thanks to the planning team this year. We switch this up a little bit each year, and some people keep coming back for more punishment. But Michael Smith, who will be here in a few moments, and then we have Dr. Jerry Adeline. He's our Dean of Health Sciences and Nursing, and we have Dr. John Lassane, who's in the room with us. Alyssa Anthony, who's in the back over there, and Dr. Krista Hughes, who is working with Carlton. She's the director of the Muller Center over in Keller Hall, if you've not met her. And then we have me. So, and I kind of get this group together. They're the ones with me that made all the plans for the classes, that reviewed all the assignments. We tweaked almost every assignment and a lot of the handouts for this year, just to try and make them a little clearer, make them a little easier for those who taught it before. And we shifted some things around for those that taught it last year. I hope you're not too disappointed that we took out the instructor chosen assignments. Everybody has the same assignments, but if you have great activities that you did in your class, keep them in there. We're still going to cover time management. We're still going to cover things like that. So put those things in there that you did. They just won't be graded assignments this time. They'll be participation assignments for your students. Okay, so there's our planning team. Here's our agenda for today. We're going to start. We already did the welcome and introductions. In a minute, we're going to go into the guidelines, and then we'll go through this list. We do have lunch coming in. I hope you all gave your orders to Angela via email. And Angela, thank you very much for coordinating that for us. We have Mandy Counts, who's going to deliver that for us. She is our administrative assistant in the nursing and health sciences area, and she was nice enough to say, yeah, I'll go get them for you. So that's great. Hi, good morning. How are you today? Good. We're gonna ask you to introduce yourself in a minute. Carlton and Zach saved you a seat over there. Yep, that's it.
First day.
Great. Well, I'm glad you're here. Could you, would you share your title here at the college with everyone?
Hello, everyone. I'm Annette Hunter. I am the assistant professor in the elementary education department. I also do the ECM, which is the early care management, but we're changing the name. And I work with Debbie Poston. We do early childhood and elementary.
Great. Thanks for being here with us today, Annette. Good. Good. So after we go over general operations and expectations of the whole course, we'll talk about your measures of success. I always like to set out a goal for the instructors, what you want to accomplish in your class with your students. What else? We'll do some purpose exploration activities. That's why a lot of you have this. I think there's one at every table. Now this one's for you. You'll need this in your class later and maybe for today, unless I guess he's got one there too. Yeah, great. And so now everybody should have one. I hope you kept yours from last year because we don't have these to give out every year. But all of you should have yours from last year if you taught the class then. I didn't bring new ones for you. Okay, so after that, we'll take a lunch break. The syllabus is what we're going to cover in the afternoon, right after lunch. And we have guests that come into our classes. We'll go over that with you later. We have a Microsoft Teams. Some of you who are new teaching this year, all of you who are new teaching this year, probably saw a little invitation yesterday to add you to the team. Now you have access to all our resources in there, and I'll show you those and how they're organized a little bit later today. And then we're going to do some table group activities. And my goal by the end of today, and by the way, if you haven't looked in Wolf Den since yesterday, your class and all the assignments and all the handouts is already in there for you. So please don't delete any of them. And add to them if you're going to add handouts or whatever. That's great. But all those assignments are in there. We'll talk about that this afternoon. And then finally, we'll wrap up. And we should be done by between 2:30 and 3, depending on how long we take for certain things. But we won't stay after 3 because that was what we set out on the schedule. So for today, listen, you're adults. If you need to use a restroom, please just go. Come back. We will take 3 breaks. We have 2 breaks, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and then, of course, lunch. And please be present with us and actively participate as we move through. If you have a question, just ask it. There's only, 18 of us or so in here. It's not a huge group. And if we don't get to them, or if you think of something later, ask again. You can always email me. If you work in a building with someone else teaching this class, you can ask them. If they don't know, you all can contact one of the members of the planning team, John, Alyssa, me, or Michael, and we'll help you out. What else? And just think about student success. That's our primary goal in the class. It's why we have the class. We want to keep our students here and we want to make them successful. So anything we can do while still holding them to the standards that we have to hold them to. It's like we can't give them credit if they don't do an assignment, right? They get a 0, but you can give them an extension. And we'll talk about that more as the day goes on. We want them to be successful. We want to teach them how to be good college students. And we're the team. We're going to support each other. We're going to share resources. When you read chapter, 2 or whatever, and you're going to teach it. And by the way, the chapters are like 4 or 5 pages in our text. They're very short. They cover a topic. There's a lot of good TED Talks. You might choose to share some of those with your students. That's great. But when you do something that's creative and new for a class, if you make a document or you make a PowerPoint or something, you're invited to upload that to the teams to share with others. And then we have some choices. And hopefully you'll figure out where to put it. So if you put it in a weird place and, it goes in a different place, I'll probably move it. But I mean, just go ahead and share those because we want to. So the resources you're going to see in there, I did not invent all of those. A lot were invented by the team, by different faculty members who have taught this over the years. And I've just kept them and we tweak them sometimes and we keep putting them in there. So it's a nice bank of resources we'll get to later. Good. All right. And supporting. One of the other ways we support each other is when you have a particular reason to not be able to teach your class for a day, please don't ever cancel the class. Instead, let me know or talk to one of the other college life teachers and say, hey, can you cover we're all teaching the same thing. And it's pretty much on the same day as this year. The schedule is much simpler this year. So, I'll cover for you or ask somebody else to cover for you. We'd rather have that. And it's good for the students too, to sometimes get a new person up in front of them. That's why we have the guests and such. But anyway, just make sure you do that, and we'll talk about that procedure a little bit later. All right, any questions so far? Keep going. All right. So in terms of general operations, we're going to start now. We're going to invite members of the team up from here and there to talk about these different areas. If Michael's not here for the campus map, we will try and move through that. But he's going to do the Gen Z mindset. That's his deal, and he'll introduce himself when he comes on in. But John, why don't you come on up and talk for a few minutes about how we own our college experience or encourage our students to.
All right, good morning, everybody. Good to see y'all. So let's take a step back in time. I want each and every one of us to close our eyes, and I want you to go back to your freshman year or your first year in college. Everybody close your eyes, and I want you to go back to your first year in college. So as you close your eyes and you're thinking, and you're taking a step back in time, and you're walking on campus for the first time, how do you feel? Somebody tell me, how do you feel right now in this moment? Excited? Huh? Scared? Overwhelmed? Nervous? Happy? Eager? Anything else?
Amazed about the choices.
Okay, amazed about the choice.
Apprehensive
Absolutely. So we can all open our eyes. Everybody's out. So just think about that, how every single one of us had a different feeling. And so every one of the students that's going to be in front of us, that we're going to be in front of, they're also going to have very different feelings. Some of them are going to be happy. Some of them are going to be excited. Some of them are going to be overwhelmed. Some of them are going to be scared. Okay? It's just the truth. Now, hopefully, their experience turned from, if it was something negative, it turned into something that was positive. That's what we want. If they're having feelings of apprehension, of nervousness, or scaredness, or something like that, it is up to us to make sure that we turn the tide with them, okay, and put them in more of a positive mindset. Now, I also want you to take a step back in time and think about your first year as a college student. And tell me, who owned the experience? Did you own the experience, or did somebody else own the experience for you? Coach Tony?
Started certainly.
Yeah. Okay. And so we got to remember, our students don't know what they don't know, right? They don't know what it is they don't know. And so for some of them, they want everybody else to tell them what it is that they're supposed to. They need somebody to give them that structure. They need somebody to give them that guidance. Sometimes it's the fact that they're lazy, okay, and they don't want to think for themselves. Other times it's they just don't know what it is that they have to do. We have to make sure that we say to every single one of our students that they are responsible for their own experience. There's certain things that we can do within the classroom to make the experience better for them, okay, and to enhance the experience. But they have to take ownership in the experience itself. Some people say, oh, I had a bad experience, okay? Did you have a bad experience because of something that was out of your control, or was the bad experience because of decisions that you actually made? And not because you're trying to spin it and deflect off, okay? It is important that we let our freshman babies know, I say that. We let our freshman babies know that it is up to them to own their college experience. I hear all the time, Michael hears this all the time too, because he's in student affairs. You know, we hear this all the time. It's boring. There's nothing to do around it. There's plenty to do. There's plenty to do. They have to own the experience themselves. I was a student. I lived in Brokaw for 3 years. I know, right? I survived. I survived. Living in Brokaw for 3 years. we made, my door mates and I, we made that experience the best possible experience that. So we gotta make sure that our students understand that this is their experience, this is their education. It's their name mainly that's on the scholarship, and that's on the loans. And so it is up to them to own up to it and to take advantage of the experience. And the last thing that I'm going to say to you is just before I sit down, okay, I'm doing good on that?
You're doing fine.
Thank you, I appreciate it. The last thing that I'm going to say is this, and Alyssa's going to kind of talk about this, but I'm going to talk about it in a different way. Okay? With education comes responsibility. And so I ask myself this question, what is it that I'm doing with my education? But we also have to make sure that our students understand that the things that you're learning to do, there's responsibility that comes with that. So what is it that you're going to do with this education? Okay? Any question? Hi.
John's office is over in the Center for Student Success, for those of you that don't know, in Wessel's Library. And if you need to find him and follow up on any of that, how you doing? We have Dr. Michael Smith with us, everybody. You want Alyssa to go and then we'll.
Yeah, give me a second.
Okay. Go ahead, Alyssa. Come on up. We're gonna jump ahead just a moment, and Alyssa's gonna talk about student responsibility.
Cool. Well, tagging well off of that, the students, I like what you said, the students don't know what they don't know. And I think that this falls into that a lot, is we expect them to know their responsibilities or read the syllabus and know their responsibilities when they get to the class, but we have to show it in a frustrating way sometimes over the semester because everybody's coming back from different backgrounds. So in a way, we kind of have to be that leader for them to tell them how to be punctual, how to write proper emails, how to be prepared for your classes, how to be prepared for discussions, which I think is the hardest one. So what we're expecting from them is to come to class prepared, meaning if they need, obviously their materials, sometimes they're going to need laptops or some version of that, a game plan if they don't have a laptop, which that will fall on you, or the student mentor can help with that. And then the class discussion. A lot of the things that we have to do in our class is going to be discussions on the readings. It's going to be discussions on whatever topics we have, maybe the Title IX or whatever it is. And sometimes you can go into a class and they don't want to say anything. So that kind of falls on us a lot, I think, is to create an environment where they feel ready to discuss their ideas. They feel safe to discuss those ideas. Yeah, and then on the flip side of that is us showing that as leaders, right? We need to be punctual as well. We need to be prepared. We need to have everything set up before the class starts, and do all the meetings that we need outside of the class to help those students succeed. These are clueless little babies that are coming to the campus, and some of them don't have that leadership or didn't have that leadership coming into this. So this is going to be the class that we really get to kind of hone those ideas and stuff into them. And hopefully a lot of the things that they're learning is going to help them in the professional world. I talk to my kids a lot about my military background, and my mom was very strict and such. And I say she's Abuela boot camp, and I bring that into my classroom, and they know it. If they don't like it, they got to get used to it. So I'm very strict on being tardy. I do keep track if my kids are tardy. I'm very, 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 very strict on that, especially in this setting. To get them used to it. And I always tell them to be early is to be on time is to be late, and to be late is unforgivable. That's a marching band thing I learned a long time ago.
I say not forgivable.
You can blame right? Y'all can blame, like I said, I'm well out of camp. I grew up very strict rules, man. But I've been very punctual since I was a teenager, and that's something I had before going into college that some of these kids don't. So I bring that on to them. We'll get into some stuff later about how they respond to things, whether how they respond to you or on their assignments. We gotta adjust some of those things, and I'm not, doing what my parents are being really strict about it. I want to come from a caring place, just let them know that this is not how we do things. This is the professional way to do things. And that's it. Any questions?
Alyssa, can you talk, or anybody else, a lot of you taught here for a good number of years or more, but talk about the administrative withdrawal and how that works too.
Yes. Well, isn't that later for the attendance stuff? Oh, okay, sorry. So we do have the attendance policies part, part of the responsibilities is that, they have to show up to class, right? So, you can administer administrative withdrawal after 6 absences, and that is up to your discretion. It's, changed after COVID and stuff. So a lot of times you can talk to the students and work with them if it was like a medical issue or something. You don't need to do an AW. But yeah, and before you do the AW, there's also an early alert system, and some of you might not have used that already. To the left of Wolfton, all the way at the bottom, there's an early alert system. So if you have a student that missed 3 classes in a row, they're not quite at the 6, but something's going on and we have to do the early alert. And that goes to CSS and they help us out, reach out to kids and all that. The tardies, I didn't see anything about the tardies,
I
but
don't have a policy that comes starting with that. I'm encouraging you to do that.
yeah. So, cool.
I'll add on to the administrative draw if that's okay, just a little bit.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, good. So with the AW, it's not something we want to do. We hope it's just a threat to our students because our goal is really to make them all pass this class. But again, we don't give them it. They have to earn it. But by the same token, if they know there's a chance they're going to be dropped from the class after X number of after the 7th absence, hopefully they'll get their button gear and get to class. That's the idea of it. We have a huge incoming class this fall. We want them all to pass it. I mean, that probably isn't going to happen, but we need them to not have to take this class again. Just logistically speaking, okay? Now, there's going to be a few that just fall through the cracks. They stop coming, whatever, but you got to do everything in your power to get them through the course. And that's why Alyssa was talking about, following up with them after a couple of absences. We'll talk about that in goals later, but I just wanted to add that to it. If you do an AW, we don't have a department chair for college life, but that's what my role is. That's what I serve as. So anytime you need chair, whatever, signature or whatever, just ask me about that, okay? Or anything college life related.
Sure. I will say, because I tried to AW somebody last night for the first time. It is not worth the paperwork you gotta do to AW somebody. You are better off if they're not coming to class. You need to get them in the face. You need to talk to them. You need to talk to other people. You need to get them. You can't turn it in. Is it not? You have to wait till midterm. Even if they have 6, they made me wait. I don't know.
It's different, and some students will not be withdrawn because of financial aid reasons.
Yeah.
So it's complicated, but it's a good policy. It's just, you have to do the paperwork for it.
Yeah.
And we want you to do the early alerts if they're absent anyway, because somebody needs to follow up with them other than you.
Yeah.
And that's what happens there. Then their advisor knows and the CSS knows and things like that.
It's just better if you're making
So, how we doing over there, Dr. Smith? He needs one more second on this, so, good. We're gonna wait then for Michael to get his documents up. Who here's done AW? Yes, questions?
With the program, are there, any incentives for the students? For instance, I know at USC, when they take in their college experience course, it's called something else. They may get, if they went so many days or did so many things, maybe free football tickets where they sit closer up front or something. Do the students get anything for extra motivation?
No, I mean, we don't have extra for that. What we do have in the class ingrained in it is a participation grade. And so that encouragement comes there, and they do better in participation. Obviously, if they're there, if they're on time and they're an active part of the class. So I think that's the way we approach it. They get rewarded in those respects. And the students all get into the football team too. So I guess that's, so we can
That's a cool idea. And that's something we can think about it.
Yeah, in the future. In the future, sure. Okay, good. Good.
Whatever they have to respond on. Sometimes you might have to, so you did get an hour, but you do the second one. Not necessarily extra incentive, but there are ways to make some of that work.
Okay, so, the class, just for everybody to be clear, it's a 2 credit hour class in the fall, we meet twice per week. And then it's a 1 credit hour class in the spring, we meet once per week. The 3 credit hours total split over 2 semesters.
So if they get an AW in the fall,
Yes.
they cannot take that 1 hour.
Well, when students do not pass the class in the fall, then we double them up and they take them both in the spring. They take them concurrently. So, yes. All right, so Michael Smith is here. Would you mind introducing yourself? Tell everybody your position here and who you are and why you're doing this and all kind of good stuff.
Well, be careful. We need to be careful. What did I do now? I need to start talking. You already got me. Okay. Well, hello, awesome people. So, I am Dr. Michael Smith. I am officially now the Associate Dean of Student Engagement and First Year Programs here at Newberry College. So, all things fun, outside the classroom, and FYE. So, this is where Pat and I meet on the academic side of this, so we can make sure that everyone has a great college one-on-one experience. Primary role is orientation. So thank you, Missions, for bringing all these fine people. Stop it. I don't, we don't have any more beds. They don't have to sleep on the ground. That's all I'm gonna say at this point. Anyway, so Pat has asked me to kind of talk about the interactive test net and campus events. So do have some exciting news on the campus event side, but I'll start with the interactive map real quick. I think we've all seen this at this point. Yes? No? So this is actually on our main page. This is the interactive map. So basically you can filter with, where'd it go? Well, it would help if I knew what I was doing. So you can actually filter this by buildings, locations. It will tell you what's there, actually provide pictures of what's in the space as well, a description. You can share it. You can actually provide the directions to it. Now, most of the buildings on our campus do not have their own independent address. So it'll probably give you the generic 2100 College Street, which if you do the 2100 College Street, it puts you at the iron gates at the front where the wolf statue is at. So don't say 2100 College Street because that's going to put you there. But you can see, you can filter by building. Even the parking lots are on here. So if someone says, hey, I don't know where to park, you can tell them is where the parking lots are at. That way, there are no issues. And I want to say this now, there's plenty of parking for students. I don't want to hear anybody complain about it. It is a walking campus. You can walk across this campus in, I think, 7 minutes if you really wanted to. It's a 15-minute walk to Oakland Mill. I think it's a 12-minute walk to here from the center of campus. At most, 15 minutes. It's good for the legs. It's good for the blood flow, okay?
We have a walking challenge right now from our HR leader.
So, also, you can see it does have Oakland Mill and teacher education on here. So you can go through it, and it is very interactive. So if I want to know where Keller Hall is, or I want to find Carlton, he's in here somewhere. See, there's the Muller Center, shows you everything that's in here. And the goal, from what I understand in talking to Marshall, is they're going to put interactive videos on here too. So there'll be someone here kind of talking about the building itself. So they're going to continuously upgrade this. This is a great feature to have because it shows you where everything is. Baseball field, all of the athletic buildings, you know, everything. All right.
So that's on our website. And
Yes.
how do we get there on the website?
So it's just
Campus
Newberry
map,
campus
right?
map. Yeah.
Right up in the corner. there.
Yeah. So it's a main feature.
Yeah.
There it is.
Good.
Simple as
So
that.
one of the things we encourage you to do is maybe early on in the class one day, show this to your students and then, you know, let them mess around with it and find where things are too, because they're all new. So you've got to find things. Great.
Okay.
This is cool. I didn't know it was there. Think I'm sitting there
It's
so there's a positive. So don't read it.
like Google Maps. You can get
Don't-
lost out for
don't
3 hours.
read it.
Already said I'm going on.
Now it's,
Okay, so I got all the nurses are gonna be fixed, so I need to not do that so much updates. My kids are gonna be.
So I assume once the building opens, it will add it onto the map. I'm assuming, well, hold on, let's check. Did you see it wasn't on there?
I did.
Is that on there?
It's still trees.
It's just, so we know the Darby building is this plot of trees on the map.
It's already been to.
Yeah. So, okay, so this is the interactive map part. So the next part of this is the student affairs, student engagement side. So if you guys did not know, student affairs had to vacate Derrick Hall because of Carlton. And, so just so you know, the first floor of Derrick Hall is now all female resident hall. Student affairs is no longer in Derrick. So all you fine people know, student affairs, vice president of student affairs, student engagement, myself, are all in the second floor of the Duffer House
With Madeline.
right now.
And
Madeleine's a Keller.
she floats around. I'm so glad.
Housing. The big question now is housing. As everyone starts moving in, housing right now is located in the Walker Hall classroom. Okay, the first floor. So not everyone has access to Walker, obviously. So if you have a student that says, I need to talk to someone housing, they need to actually come knock on the door and they will come out and get them. All right.
It's Walker Hall classroom.
Yes, on the first floor. Okay. We took it over. These are temporary locations right now. Security office, Paul Whitman's office, is now actually in Oakland Mill. So he's occupying the security office that is in Oakland Mill, and you have Bart still down in Brokaw. So they're covering more of the campus this way, okay? I will tell you this now. At some point, don't know when, we're supposed to be moving, student affairs is supposed to be moving to OLPC. I don't know when.
When athletics gets out.
Well, it's when athletics gets out and when AJ has an opportunity to go in there and look at what needs to be repaired. So I'm saying December. This is what I'm thinking.
Oh, so this is longer.
Barry thinks next month. I think December.
I think it's still.
I honestly don't want to move again. I would rather just stay where I'm at for the year and call it a day.
Now, the student affairs used to be over
Yes.
They did.
So,
Over my.
and just so you're aware, it is on the main student affairs page. We are, so if someone does
Oh,
add.
good.
The only one that is incorrect, and I need to change it, is conduct. So if you guys did not know, Dr. Wells, Carl Wells, will be joining us on the 15th. He is our new Associate Dean of Student Success, or Campus Life and Student Success, sorry. But his primary role is conduct, okay? He will actually already be in OL Casey. He will be in what is right now Wayne Alexander's office. Wayne is moving into the new building.
The field house.
Yeah.
Oh, they're gonna move him in.
They're gonna move him in first, and the reason being is that he needs a space to be able to do conduct meetings specifically. So that's why he's going ahead and going over there. That office is actually very secure, and there's a conference room right there. You guys, I'm sure they're aware, so he can do conduct meetings in there. So that's the only rationale behind that. Okay. Also, if you did not know, part of the ongoing struggle is the entire housing office left at the end of June. So myself, Sarah, Macy had all been doing housing till recently, but Sarah is actually acting as the interim director of housing. So if you do have any questions specific to housing, you can ask Sarah. Macy has moved into housing full time. She is now the coordinator of housing operations. So she does selection, placement for rooms, and maintenance in the buildings. Those are her two primary focuses. We actually hired another person, CC Corley, who is an alum. She is the first year residence hall in the quad area. So Cromer, Kiner, Derrick, and Brokaw have more first year students in it now because of the number that we have. So there's more freshmen in those halls, so there's more coverage there. And then we also hired someone else who starts next week. His name is Stacy J. Horton. He is from North Carolina A&T, and he will be over the upper class. So we do have basically an entire new staff, and we are currently interviewing directors of housing right now.
Wow.
In the middle of all of this. Again, thank you. This is all your fault. Okay, so first and foremost, I know you guys were asking questions about the first 56. We will have it. Sarah is taking over that responsibility. She is putting together the program now. So again, there may be a small delay as we are doing multiple jobs at this point. But she is working on it. Everyone submitted their stuff. She's working on the calendar. The exciting part that I was mentioning earlier is we are actually going to be migrating to a student affairs platform, student engagement platform. So mid-September, we will roll out what is called campus groups. Okay, it is essentially an engagement platform have all the organizations, all the calendars, everything will be in one central spot. It'll be able to be accessed via app. And then hopefully in the next year, we'll have the Newberry College branded app that we'll coming out with. So I know I've talked to Carlton about migrating over here as well, but basically it's a one-stop shop for all things student engagement. We will have all our forms on here. We'll be able to put all of our housing information on here. We just finished signing everything. I have to do this, this part. This is the next part. This is the entire implementation checklist. It's rather long. And one of these days I'm going to sit down and actually do it. But our goal is to roll out by September 15th. We're not going to be able to make it by the deadline at the start of the semester that we want to because of everything that happened. But our goal is to have it implemented, ready to go, so that students can access it starting in September. And we'll be able to do everything through here. Notifications, push notifications, email, contact, co-curricular transcripts. That's something we're actually migrating to now. Sarah, one of Sarah's roles is leadership development. So the hope is that we eventually get to a leadership minor, which might be connected to our co-curricular transcript that will be in this system as well. So we're migrating into a lot of new things, and this is going to be the first step. I would encourage, once we have it rolled out, I encourage you to tell everyone in your class, use this, because we're paying. It is not cheap. Tell you that now.
And where is that going to be housed?
So it's going to be housed on, it's going to have its own independent site. Think of this as a massive upgrade to Wolfden, because we'll be able to put everything on this for us. Student affairs specific.
Affairs materials.
Yes. So housing, leadership positions,
So we'll have a link to get to.
Yes, you will have a link.
So, is it a link or can they find it when they first go in?
It'll be a link and there will be an app.
Okay.
It'll be both. So
So
the
you're
app,
gonna tell us.
yes. So the app itself right now will be campus groups, but they'll be able to find Newberry College. It won't be a branded app. It'll just be the overall arching one.
Okay.
Hopefully in the next year, it'll be the Newberry College campus group brand app. So it'll be specific to us, but this is now something we're working toward to take engagement to the next level. So we might be able to move away from paper flyers too. I will also tell you, we're actually meeting with a group that's going to hopefully connect all of our TVs so we can do all flyers through one central computer and update them right there and have them scheduled to come through. So if you guys have events or stuff that's coming up, put it in there, schedule it, and send it to all at once. So we're getting there. It's just taking a little bit more time than we wanted to. So this is the exciting part. So right now, until September 15th, it's old school until this comes out. The other great thing about this, you can track attendance at events. You can set QR codes, everything like that. So it's everything we've been doing just in one spot. Cool?
Great.
Okay.
That's good for now. Thank you.
All right.
Oh, and you're going to have a handout. Who do you call handout? Is that coming out soon or?
I'm in the process of updating it. So the RAs did get a copy of this. It's incomplete. I will tell you this now because I'm still hiring people. I will complete it as much as I can.
Yeah. Whenever you get it, that'll be distributed to faculty, staff, or how do we get it?
So I will email it to everybody.
Okay.
The students will have these in the rooms. The RAs already have these, so they know who to send to. Like I said, it's partially incomplete because we were in the process of hiring. So once I sit down and plug in the rest of the holes, we'll be able to send this to everybody and go from there. So you will have a semi-updated version of this coming out soon. Yes, sir. Are we still using Microsoft Teams?
We're using the Wolfden for all the class materials. The instructor resources are in Microsoft Teams, yes.
Okay.
And that will be in Microsoft Teams when I get the updated one. Right now, last year's is in there, which is somewhat true, but you know, a lot of people have changed. And students have a lot of questions. This question, who do I call for this? And this is a great document. Once you get it, I'm going to encourage you to add it to your College 101 handouts in the Wolfden. And we're gonna look at that now as soon as you're finished. Yeah.
Okay.
I got
Well,
the
at this point, I'm pretty much good. You wanted to see it, there it is. The updated schedule for Halifax, but I'll talk about this. But
Good.
You gonna send it?
No.
Please?
No, absolutely.
Can I,
It's in our resources?
No, it's not.
All right, now you've been adjourned. I just wanna know when we're supposed to be here, what we're supposed to do.
I'll send it to you.
Come on, he's rude.
No, it's still in the library. Wait, are you moving now?
I already got it.
Good Lord.
I mean, I already got it. All right, so let's see what we got here now. Okay, everybody. All right, let's see what we got on the screen here. Okay. Now I got to get us back on the. Sorry for a second. Michael messed me up here with his switch, so. Okay, so let me duplicate that. Okay, everybody. So what you're seeing now is the wolf den for your college life class, my college life class, which is the same as yours. And what we have here is the handouts page. Okay, and I came to this right now for our next section of what we're doing right here. But when you go to the handouts tab right over here, resources handouts, this is where you'll go in college life. And all these are in there for you because they got copied over to you yesterday. So what I'm going to talk about right now is this document right here, the simple grade point calculation document. And what we have here is something we want you to go over with your students. And most of you know how to do this. So I'm going to go through this real quick, but then please take your time and go through it with your students so they understand how their grade point is figured and how we do it here at Newberry College. This is a typical grading scale, the 4, 3, 2, 1 for A, B, C, D, right? And then for Newberry College, we work on the plus system. For those of you that don't know, we don't have minuses. Nothing is issued with a grade of a minus because we just don't have it. So this actually works to the student's advantage, I think, because the 3.5 is better than just a B. You know, you get an 88 and it's not a 3.0. It's a 3.5 into your quality points for GPA, which is really helpful. It makes it a little more complicated when we figure GPA, but it's helpful to the students. So transferring that, this is the example you want to show. These are typical classes that some of our students may take. I don't even know if we have a fit 125 though, but anyway, we do. Okay, good. So this is how you'd figure it. Now, I think you all can look at this and figure it out, but if anybody has any questions, ask them now. If you want to know how we got to that 3.0, 357, let us know. Don't feel bad if you wanted me to run through it. I don't want to, go through it if everybody knows how to do this already though, right? Yeah. Okay. So this person would have a 3.0, 357, pretty good GPA. And what we want to try to do is show them how an F works and how it changes your view on it. So, okay. So this is one of the handouts that's in your wolf den. If you're good with that, I'll go ahead and get out of that now. And it's already posted for them in the wolf den. Let's go back into the wolf den. Where am I? Right here. All right. So we go back into the wolf den and it's right there along with a few other handouts that you can look through. Another document, which we'll get to, I think a little bit later today, is this gradebook calculation worksheet. This is just a spreadsheet that I have time now. I'm going to go ahead and show it to you since I'm talking about it. So this is just a spreadsheet that the student can open up, and I encourage them to download it and save it. That's the wrong thing. Come on, let's get to the one we want. Let's get to the one we want. There it is. Okay, good. So what we have here is a worksheet that the student can keep track of their grade in the college life class with this document. Now, right here, this is the one that they can use. You have to enable editing to use it. Okay, let's do that. So now right here, the only cells that are open to write in are the points they earn on the assignments. These are all their assignments for the semester, and it's the total possible points here. And as you put points earned in for each one, then you can see what your grade is. Okay, so what I've done here is this is the active worksheet. Here is a sample worksheet all filled in that you can show them. And you can see what the points that they got on all of those different assignments and how their grade would be figured. If they want to do that, some students want to. Now we have the gradebook feature in Wolf Den, and this is done for them. But if they want to project ahead, let's say we're halfway through the semester and they know they've completed, 250 of our 650 points, and they've got a 15 out of 250 because they haven't been doing too well, right? So then they've got to figure out how many points they got to get for the rest of the semester to pass the class. And this is a good tool for that. So I hope that you will use this with them. And when you go into it, go to the active one right over here and just put some points in here and just move it on down and just see what they get. you know, now this is a perfect score so far, right? But then this one here, they get a 12 on, and it's always the last line that they have points for. This looks terrible right here, obviously, but when you're doing it, you got to just go across. This is their current grade right now is 90 right here. Okay, and none of these cells will be active except for these in the color here so that they can use it. So I hope that that works, and then they can project out their grades and what they need to get to the grade they want, because here's our grading scale. It's a 90, 80, 70, 60 for the big grades. The pluses for college life start at 85 and 75 and 65. So it's half of the range is the plus, which again, it helps GPA that way. And I think, you know, we are in minuses. So we've gone to that in a lot of the classes around here. Some people have a different grading scales. And so when your students ask you about grading scales, it's not going to be the same in every class. Some people have 87 for a B plus. Some faculty don't even use the pluses. I don't know why, they just don't. So, okay. But is there an education program grading scale, or does every instructor do their own, or how do you all do it in your areas?
We do use plus.
What's the cutoff for plus? Is there one that's standard, or?
I think mine is like 87 half, I think.
Yeah.
Science is the upper 3%, so like 87.
87 and a half, yeah. Okay, anybody else want to weigh in? No? Okay. That's fine. You know, it's whatever people put, you know, so, anyway, you'll get questions about grades, and this is a tool for your students then to use if they want to use it. Okay? So that's that part of it. Michael, you're coming back up now for the, your long talk. Yes, Gen Z mindset, peer mentors. So we're gonna let Michael get that set up, and then we'll switch to him. But what questions do we have? After Michael, we're gonna take a break. He's got about 30 minutes for this section, okay, for Gen Z mindset and peer mentors. But anybody have any questions over anything so far?
I was just gonna offer that any new instructor on excited about doing GPA calculation, how to project, how to figure out what they need, all that kind of stuff. Just call me, and you let me know next time. Or help you. Now I'm about to tell my calculation sheet. So that they have another. I have a cheat sheet where it's got an example of some calculated GPA, how to understand, you know, a pre-op class. And they have to do it. So I make them do it, get in here, say, what do you think I'm gonna make? And then I make it tomorrow, and then we compare. You say, oh, you're not gonna be nervous. And also,
I think it's nervous.
yeah, I got nervous. Well, it is.
You're nervous.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
It really is.
I'm making mine look.
Okay.
It's backwards, but it's.
I mean, I like extra, this is interact.
Yeah, just add it to the team. We'll talk about that later. Yeah, that's great.
Cool.
Good. Any way you want to do that is fine. All right, so Michael's up next, and tell us about your PhD, if you would, for a moment, and why you're doing this, and then go on through what you have for peer mentors and Gen Z.
So my dissertation for my EDD program was first year seminar and its impact on retention. So this presentation is actually something I did with Michael Avon from Duke University. He's a member of the Advisors Fraternity Sorority Life Association. So we actually presented this in 2020, and I've modified it since then. So it's actually up to date now because that's what I did last night. Because you know that's when I do all my work is when I'm at home.
Between 2 and 4 a.m. are good times to work.
Yeah. So this presentation was originally designed to showcase how to get Gen Z students involved. I've modified it for this is who they are. Okay. So you know who's in your classroom now. So we're gonna do a couple of things. We're gonna talk about a few things. Like I said, I did update it yesterday, so it is going to be a little different. So of course, we always have learning outcomes, and basically it's how to advertise to Gen Z, how to get them engaged, how to understand them, and what the outlook looks like moving forward. How we as professionals can really get them into the fray of engaging with the college experience. Because they are by far the most unique generation we have had so far in the college environment, based on studies, history, conversations, and everything. So, kind of your agenda, understanding X, Gen Z involvement, the traits, and how we look forward. So, does anybody see themselves on the screen?
Yeah.
So, want to let you know there's been an update. Gen Z now went backwards. 2009 is officially the end of the Gen Z birth rate, and now Gen Alpha has come into the play. Yes.
We're starting all over again.
We're starting all over. And supposedly, I think it's military alphabet. They're going, so it's alpha, or Greek alphabet. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, theta, theta, capital F, mu, mu, xi, all those. I didn't forget about
Alpha
you.
comes first though.
Say don't come last.
Can you tell they're Greek? Can you tell that there's a rivalry in the room already? Okay. So I'm gonna ask, where are the millennials at? Do we have any Gen Zers in the room? Okay, I can make fun of them the entire time we're in here. Okay. I'm not gonna ask about the other ones because I respect. Okay. Gen X?
No.
Gen X? A baby boomer?
Yeah.
Is there anybody in the silent generation in this room? Because I'll be worried. Okay, so
Dr. Duffy.
Dr. Duffy is the silent generation. Okay, so now you know where you fall on this scale. This is the updated graph. So millennial, I'm gonna say this, we're not lazy, we just found a better way to do stuff. Yeah, so if you can see, Gen Y was the millennial age. So our defining event was September 11th. And I say this every time. Does everybody remember where they were?
Absolutely.
Jesus. You're a fetus. So for me, I actually was at home with bronchitis on my couch watching The Price is Right with Bob Barker, OG. So that's where I was the day it happened. So for Gen Z, the great financial crisis of 2008, where they watched their family members lose their homes because of an overinflated market and loans and things that didn't make sense. That is their defining moment. They live in a perpetual age where the dollar is so much value, they hold on to it as long as they can. They don't spend their money because they saw their parents potentially and their friends and their family members lose something.
My kids, the way they spend money, I think we're rich. Can't be.
Well, it might, again, you might be looking at the more the Gen Alpha side now, because you're going to start seeing a blend here. You're going to see now at this point, you're going to start seeing the transition. So, Toyo Prius was the iconic car of, that's what they said. That's what it came out. I don't know. I don't even know what that is. So let me ask this question. How many of you guys had a cassette player?
Amen.
I had one.
Okay.
Who had a Walkman? CD Walkman. Yeah?
No.
No?
Those are called discs.
Hey, it said Walkman on the. It said it still was a Walkman brand. It said Walkman. It was a Discman. Okay. Anybody got an iPad right now? How many of you guys have a Spotify account? We're on smart speakers now.
Literally had every device.
No, you're getting one. Napster.
Oh, yeah.
Napster. LimeWire had all the viruses. One song all night. One song all night.
One song took all these.
So I can attest that I think I had, every one of my friends had a BMX bike at one point.
Yeah.
And that's the thing they did, folding scooters. This, really, this is the iconic toy, a fidget spinner, this thing, this thing, this is it. But it's good for people with ADHD, it's monotonous. So, here's where it gets interesting. This generation wants to inspire. That's their leadership style. Yes.
No, I'm not questioning.
Well, if you look, they're empowering, but you also look at it here. You're going to start seeing a blend here. At this point in the cycle, the oldest one, they're under 10 years old already, right? But they're in middle school. You're going to start seeing them be around more. Recruiting processes have them here at 16. So you're going to start seeing more and more of the shift here. So, but Gen Zers, they are empowered. They want to be empowered. They want to make a change. As I've stated before, they want to be part of the solution, not the problem. I am convinced, my opinion, and I say this with a political cattle, they're going to change the way we do politics. Some of them are. If they stay there. They have lived through so many school shootings, so many of this, that it's part of their norm. Whereas, anyone have a school shooting drill that they were in? I had it.
We did talk about it for now.
Did anybody have a bomb drill in there? I did.
Yeah, tornadoes, make sure you put them close.
So, their norm is coming to an institution of education with the possibility of not going home. That's their norm. Whereas ours were pranks. No one would really do it. It's just a way to get out of a test. Yeah. But now you've seen it go from not even in education, now it is. And now with record numbers of school shootings and things like that, this is their norm. So they're a little fearful sometimes when it comes to this. They want to be part of an empowering collaboration because they want to make change. However, where the conundrum lies, they would rather suffer in silence. They feel that they are a burden if they ask for help. That's where we have to come in and start breaking down those walls, because they will not ask. They will wait until the last possible moment. Beyond moment zero, when it's beyond, when it's done, there's nothing to do. So this is where we have to be somewhat intrusive in their lives, especially when we do our meetings, when we have our conversations with them. Have to say, hey, what's going on? And I usually ask it twice. I say, hey, how's it going? They say, oh, it's good. How's it really going? Because sometimes they look at us as authority figures, and most of them do. They don't want to share a lot. But we have to make sure that we engage with them in some way. They are digital marketing styles. They like forms, so they like to give feedback, but they want it instantly. They want instant feedback. So if they turn in that assignment, they want to grade it right in there. Instant gratification because of, I don't have my phone on me, but your cell phone. Their attention span is 8 seconds long. If you can't keep them engaged in 8 seconds, you've already lost them. At least us millennials, we have 12 seconds. Remember, we found a better way to do it. Now, as you move into Gen Alpha, they also do want real time as well, because they're used to real-time responses. This is going to be very interesting, because if their attention span is 6 seconds, I don't know how we're going to teach. I'm going to be honest. So, with what?
Now that I was reading, can we get a copy of this?
Yeah.
We, electronically?
Yeah.
This is cool.
Mm-hmm. So this is what you're looking at now. Gen Zers, Gen Xers, the parents are closer to the students. That is why, at least for me, I don't know about anybody else, Carlton, you may be able to test this too. You hear from the parents more than the student. And I'm calling on behalf of my son, Johnny. This is verbatim a message that I got yesterday. Calling about his housing, we're concerned that who he's living with. Stop, first of all. No. Right. So it's to a point now, and for us housing, we are starting to say, we need to hear from the student. Mom and dad, you can't do it anymore. The student needs to call us and say, hey, I have an issue with my housing.
I literally talked to a parent, student was right beside her on the phone. I said, can you pass the phone to your daughter so I can talk to her? And it was a struggle for her to pass the phone to her daughter.
So
Oh, it's not just that, it's beyond. I remember on, working in parts of education, working. We dealt with certification, so we certified all teachers in the state, so that's for our office. A lot of times, parents would fill out the application certification.
They fill
application,
out, and the kid don't know what was on that.
And they would fill out all the everything certification, gather everything for them, and the parents would call and send them the application for their student without being a teacher.
They want them to get a job and get out of their house. That's
So,
why.
100%.
So it's not just at college, it is, you are seeing it now in the field.
I think that being somebody that has pre-college students, we will try to get help. My kids will take care of stuff, and I say, put me on that email, because I can tell you it will get changed. And so that's something that we have to own up to. Sometimes it takes a parent to say, I've asked you, my daughter has sent all these things and asked you to fix the leak in your apartment, or her whatever, and I can get the phone and call, and then all of a sudden it's like, what, I'm so sorry, we didn't realize that this had to be taken care of. So we have to own that too, that there's a reason why sometimes we can't.
And we're fine with that, but it's the student experience.
Oh, yeah.
The student experience started the day they were admitted as a college student.
Right.
Mom and dad need to step back a little bit and say, hey, you know what? Go for it. This is beyond helicopter, snowplow, lawnmower parents. This is something new age.
That's right. We see it, on the advising, we have parents try to actually sit in on the advising session. And we're like, back up. Yeah.
So-
What generation are these parents now?
They're Gen Xers.
And let me say this. If you go back 45 years when I started in this field, most of those parents of those children were not even 2-year or trained in anything.
Right,
So
exactly.
those parents didn't have a clue about the college experience. And then I've watched it over the years, and you're right, the more that the parents get educated and they go have kids and we grow this, then they think they're the only ones with I got a daughter, she's the only one with the answer. I'm like, quit calling housing for your daughter. But it's my daughter that's calling my friend. I get it, because they're on my ass, and I'm like, they're moving. But I think it's perpetual, and I think it's caught up now that the parents had that experience. And they want to make sure their kids have a better experience than they had.
That's all we did again.
I know, I'm with you. Oh, I'm prepared.
There behind it. I think also that generation of kids are less sociable because they are always texting.
Oh,
always.
amen.
So it's hard for them to articulate what they would
say.
So,
And the parents have done so much in our boy.
so
Totally enabled.
the article I read in regards to that, you bring it up, they're not sociable. It's when we came out of COVID the first time, we had 18-year-old students with a 16-year-old mindset because they didn't know how to socialize the last 2 years, so they didn't have that final push to get them to talk to us. You still are seeing that in some cases. But I also think there are some parents, and Hussein and I have had to intervene with some of them in orientations that you have to stop. Like we stopped them in the lobby and said, you can't come in here. Like, unless there is a educational, a learning disorder reason that you can show me, you're not getting past it. Now, there are some scrappy little women out there, I'll say that want to get in there. That's the best way I can describe it. They just bulldoze right through you. They don't care what you're saying. Because what it is, they have all of their students' information on their phones. They're booked in, all of it. Because if I'm paying the bill, I deserve to have the right to see all this stuff. That's everything. That's the number one reason we get every single time. Say, well, unfortunately, there's this thing called FERPA, and you're not on this list, so bye.
things too, like, I have students that come to for student teaching, and when they come back, I'll say, you've got to put in your password. Now, put it in the front of calling mom.
Or social. Don't
Yeah.
ask for their social security
Yeah,
number.
or look at me and say, well, what's my password?
Oh, I get those questions. I get those calls all the
Well,
time.
so,
Call
so,
IT.
so this is gonna come into play with us, and the best, I had to deal with this situation over the summer advising. A parent emailed me. And so finally I just wrote to her, I said, okay, thanks for putting me in touch with your student. I said, typically when we do the advising is between the advisor and the student. So would you please ask your student to follow up with? And she was very responsive. And that's the kind of conversations we're gonna have with our students and get them, we'll do a thing on self-advocacy a little bit later this afternoon. That's one of the things we try and teach them in this class too. They gotta own their experiences, John talked about.
So, and that's why we're teaching, say, at advising, parents, you're not there.
Yeah.
Bye, you're somewhere
Well,
else.
you do a
That's why
great
we
job
have
of
a session.
strategically scheduling parent sessions when their students at advising.
Well, that was done by design.
Yeah,
Because
we
if I-
got a better plan this time.
Oh, yeah, we got a better one coming up for next year. So it's gonna be great. We get a lot more. They coming in.
No, we're just not gonna put the advising time on the.
Yeah, so that's been the number one thing. They see the advice time, they go, all right, I'm going with, we're not gonna tell them what their advice time is. The alpha leader will have their advice.
John and I actually had a mother show up to the middle of class. Because her son wasn't showing up, but she showed up on the football field in the middle of his class.
Oh, no, I'm
That's
not-
embarrassing.
I'm not love that.
So this one in the middle, 83% of them consider their parents their best friend. That should tell you everything you need to know. And then the parents, 71% consumer. They say if their student says this is a good product, they're willing to purchase that product. And that goes for anything electronic, and that includes education. I had a great experience at Newberry College. They were willing to say, all right, I'll give you the money to go to Newberry College. So the other part of the engagement side, so you guys know the other side. It's how we engage them. We already know they're different. Strategies that used in millennials don't work because they're more digitally engaged. This is the big one. If you can show how what we're doing will translate into their career, you've got 100%. Yours is easy. I'm talking about the rest of I go over there. For the rest
Agreeing with you.
if you can show why they're here and how it will translate your career, you've got it. The reason you're here is to get an education. Because the number one reason that the students will say in our College 101 class is why they're here, play sport. And then get an education. I hear it every year. I'm here to play football. I'm here to wrestle. I'm here to play baseball. I'm here to do this. And the education is the secondary component. Instead of saying, I'm getting a discounted education and I can play football. It's the student athlete, not athlete student.
Yeah.
Perspective. We have to change that so they understand. Because if they're not a student, they're not an athlete. Why's first? Since this was a Greek presentation, it was how does the value of joining a Greek organization translate to career? And it does. There's several examples in the room. How we engage the parents. So we've started to engage the parents more and more. We're trying to do more with them to keep them at bay. I will tell you, if you've seen the student, family, and parent page on Facebook, it gets wild sometimes. Well, there's some good stuff on there, and there's some people that are having fun. Specifically, example. Oh, if you want to get on there, get on there. I'll let you be on there. Well, I'm the admin for it, so that's why. How are they committed to service? Because they want to get back. And this is where that assignment we came up with the community service.
102,
Yeah, 102, but this is how we show the value of serving. And then the feedback piece. They want it continuously. Now, is that realistic? It can be. But also, we all have other duties. We have other classes. We have other things we got to do. So sitting down and grading an assignment as soon as they turn it in may not be the most realistic thing.
We try and get assignments back within a week after the due date. That's what I tell students, and I try and do that as a goal. Good rule of thumb if you want to try and do it.
So, this is who they are. The first one, willing to work hard.
We got 10 minutes.
10 minutes, I got it. If it interests them. That's the other part, right? They have to have a vested interest. Willing to work hard if it interests them. They are competitive. They are career-minded. They are family first. So this generation has coined the term silent quitting. If you didn't know what that was, they will quit a job without telling anybody to go find another job.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're in search of the perfect job. So you guys know. So honesty and privacy are important, but they do like to post about everything they do online. So it's very interesting because, you know, you don't need to put your life story on the internet. They are the most diverse generation to this point. Important to know.
There's a stat in our textbook that says by 2050, there won't be any clear majority in terms of racial difference.
Which is odd, considering we're becoming more divided.
Yep.
That's
Want information, they're not patient, but service oriented. So they do have an attention span of 8 seconds. This one, if a positive experience, 89% will promote the brand. If they have a positive experience, they will promote the brand for you.
how's that flip around? If we have a negative experience, will they
Then
trash
it's-
it?
Well, if it's a negative experience, it's connected to all their devices. They have 5 devices on at one time.
Yeah.
Smartphone, watch, 5. At one time, they have 5 devices. going on. They got 4.
Got 10 going right there.
They stream everything, so they are, this is why they have attention span of 8
And their
seconds.
parents. And they don't even know.
So, this is who they are. But I think these two are probably where we get them. Because they see it, especially when, I think everything changed after we came out of COVID. Because everyone saw the value of family. Because of being isolated for so long.
It'll be good people.
Yes, and that too. And they want a good job to help their family, but they're willing to quit to find the right job. So it really is, they are conundrum. Like I said, it's like,
I realized last year, my mental health was a problem.
oh, yes. Well, this goes, mental health goes back, it goes back to what they have seen in their lives as far as trauma, what they have lived through. They need, so, but it also, again, I think it's the next slide. No, it's this one.
Yeah.
I've heard this statement every year I've taught this class. From somebody. Yes, sir.
So you said that this generation always wants to strive to get the best job that they can. They're just going to quit after 2 weeks and everything that they do until they achieve that. But what about teaching them that experience does help you gain that right job that you need? And how do you approach that?
So I think that goes back to showing the value of what we're doing. If X is the goal down there, you've got to go through A through whatever letter to get there. Yeah, there's not cutting corners. You have to pay your dues. To get to where some of them are lucky and they get fortunate, they get right into what they want to do. Awesome. But other ways, they don't. Just like all of us, we had to start at 0 to get where we're at today, right? And you may have gone like this to get there, but you got it, right? So a couple of things, and I'll wrap this up. So virtual and real world overlap, there is no difference for millennials. They were 2 different areas. We lived in 2 different worlds. They coexist now over one world, okay? That's where influence comes from. They will like a customizable experience that's realistic. Fear of missing out is a big one for them. So if you can get them to say, if you miss this, you may not be able to get that opportunity. There's how you get them. Shared governance. They want to be a part of organizations that give back to the community, to the greater good. They are the do-it-yourself generation. They are driven. So I did this math last night. These are the ones that self-reported right now. As of yesterday, there's 28% that are coming in that are first-gen students.
Well, they're not all in your section.
Well,
Or no,
this is
the Mike,
me,
that's your
this is
section.
me.
Those are his
Hey.
sections. That's right, yeah.
Hell no.
But that goes back to part of what we said, because there's more peanut meters, because they're more push, so they're pushing pushing their kids to reach more potential. We always want our kids to have more than we have.
Wow.
But at some point,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
So I'm gonna jump this one. We know this one, but I'm gonna get into the peer mentor one. Do you guys have any questions about this particular
Michael, if you
slideshow?
want us, we can take our break and do peer mentor right
That's fine.
after.
That's fine.
If we
That
want
was
to do that
very
right
good,
after.
Michael. Thank you.
Yeah, because we'll give you like 15 minutes on the other side.
Oh,
How's
that's
that?
fine. That's fine.
Okay, that'd be good. So it's 5 minutes before the scheduled break, but let's go to our break now. And then we'll, or any questions before we go to break on this, because we're gonna leave this topic and start with peer mentors when we come back.
You are gonna send us this?
Yes.
That's a great presentation.
But we can put it in the teams too, if you want.
Yeah,
All right,
that'll
great.
work.
So let's take 10 minutes right now. It's 10:24. We start at 10:35. All right, see you later. I have to go do something.
I know.
Hey, Carl,
Yeah, again, this
When you
is.
talking about percentage
Yeah.
wise, you're talking about
When I
sample wise.
started years ago, parents knew that our kids, they were out, they were active, they were still working, they were blue collar workers, and now I look at my kids, my grandkids, and mom, everybody, you know, their family
Generations
goes
on.
out, oh, Lord.
I was
My
sending
son-in-law's
this
coming
to you.
along, and he's 42. And he needs to be in college life, but I'm not sure he's college life when he put it.
Fear of missing out.
Also realize. I'm gonna put it like.
No, they don't understand. They don't understand.
Well,
Because it's this right here versus this.
Right. And they're still higher up in different companies, it's work.
Because if the baby boomer one, it's because you're leading down like the hierarchy.
Right.
Whereas here, you're an outside entity and influencing people.
They could not stand it.
You'll be here.
All the things I thought I would hear today, I think out here I look
So why?
there you go.
but I'm prettier.
All
We're
right.
not
so
going down that road.
Well, Michael, the screen is up, go right ahead.
Peer mentors, how about
I can't
10?
see it
10
anyway.
I can
Okay,
do
good.
that. All right. So of course, you guys, peer mentors are the other half of the equation. So right now, this is what I have as of today. So I know I've put out a call to some of you about I'm missing some peer mentors. I'm a little short right now here.
I thought we helped you out on that one.
You didn't. You made it worse. So I'll make it a little bigger. I'm going to send it to you. So what's going to happen
Thank
is
you, Don.
this afternoon, I will email all of you instructors and the peer mentors. The task I ask of you and your peer mentor, if you have one, is to meet and discuss expectations. Your expectations. They have mine already, okay?
Are you gonna give them what yours are?
Yes, and it's in the document I'll show you. Okay. My expectation is that they are coming to every class and any event you ask them to. Okay? Do remember, these are students, they have schedules, and a lot of these students are athletes, Greek class. So their schedule is very busy as well. I ask that you be respectful of that. But my expectation is that they come to both classes. Okay? If you have an arrangement with them outside of that, the only thing I ask is that you tell me. Because unless I hear it from you, I'm assuming they're coming to every class. Okay? So Kay doesn't want peer mentors. I don't know why. But you can see on this list, Halifax. So most of the Halifax leaders are peer mentors. So it's going to be a natural selection, natural flow. They're going to automatically know who their person is. They already have a contact. There's some variations in this as well. So very little, but the majority of them are their Halifax leader and their peer mentor. So how we run Halifax, they are in their college one-on-one groups the entire weekend. So they're building relationships with their class, starting on the 18th into the 19th. Okay?
So who, well, I guess that's why I was pushing to get the Halifax schedule. Who will we know who's got a good number?
So I will assign someone, I will assign a Halifax.
And if we need to come help, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying, if I need to be there too, it's proof that.
Yeah. So the highlighted ones are the ones I'm not assigning peer mentors to at your request.
That's, yeah.
But I will assign a Halifax leader.
Okay.
I will find somebody that will help. I put a call out yesterday. I had about 4 or 5 other people.
And that's what I'm saying, I'm more than willing to come through it if they just need another body.
Mhm.
there's so many of them.
Yeah, so there's a lot of moving parts to this, and then for the peer mentors specifically, they have this. You will have this as well. This is their expectation manual, okay? This has everything that they will need to run the semester. The one thing I will remind everybody, peer mentor, they are volunteers. They are not paid right now. They are not TAs. They don't use them like TAs, okay? If you want, the biggest thing I would like to see you guys do with them is let them provide experience that they have. They were freshmen at one point as well. Let them provide experience on the topics you're talking about. So if it's financial aid, this is what I did when I found out I needed that. Or this is how I got involved in campus. Or if you're talking about mental health. Oh, Miss Ashley's great. She's the new director. You can go up and talk to her whenever you want. Let them sell the experiences that they have had, okay? They're supposed to be there to help the friend and the coach. They're not a source of money. They're not to get them out of jail. They're not to provide them alcohol, all the obvious things. That part too. So a lot of this is similar to years past. There's not enough need to change a lot of this. The one thing that will change is their schedule. This is the entire fall schedule based on what you will be doing in the class and what the expectation is for the peer leader, okay? And they're done by phases. So when they move in, it's the honeymoon phase. Then we're all excited, we're here, and then reality hits the phase. And then that's when culture shock comes into play because it's going to be different for them and a lot of more freedom. How do I manage this freedom when I don't have somebody behind me telling me what I can and can't do? Things like that. So they have this already, all the way down. It talks about homesickness, mental health, things that will be going on in the class, the adjustment, midterms being a big one. My expectation for the peer mentors is they meet each one of their students at least once a month. Outside of the classroom, do something with them. They can do an event, talk to them. Not necessarily a meeting, but a way to get information without, hey, let's have a meeting. They don't come to me, right? We want it to be natural. Because the peer mentor will get more information than anybody in this room will get from a conversation. And that's why the peer-to-peer interaction is so important, okay? So it goes all the way through, and you'll have this for spring as well. So I'll do a spring one as well. It's very similar, but different shock value.
It should be the same peer mentor with this spring. There are some exceptions, but normally that happens.
The goal is that you will have your peer mentor for the entire year, okay? So you can use them. Now, if they're not coming to class, if they're not being accountable, let me know. They are a volunteer army, but I only want people that want to be here and not forced to be here. Every one of these students has signed up willingly. I didn't put a gun to their head. They want to be here. They want the experience. Okay? They see the value in what we do. The other thing that's important that I'll show on here to kind of wrap this up, there are scenarios that they do. One of the scenarios is if one of their students falls in love with them, which has happened. It happens every year. Okay? Somebody gets infatuated with somebody and there might be an issue. See it, let me know. But they are told, stay away from it until they're sophomores. Leave them alone. Once they're sophomores, I don't care what you do, but not when they're first years, okay? I mean, I care, but I don't care at the same time, okay?
Not your will.
Yeah, they do sign this contract. So if you feel that, and this is in the document, if you feel like they violated any of this, you can tell me. I will let them know. They all sign it. Basically saying, I will be accountable, I will represent Newberry College in the best way possible, I will not break the law, those kind of things. The other part is this, and I'm actually going to show you the document. When they have an interaction, they submit it to me for review. The reason they submit it to me is if I feel based on the information that's provided to me that they need an early alert, I will put an early alert in. So there's a check and balance. Every
So
single one of them.
submit you information on a student, and
Based on
you
their
can do an early alert thing because they can do.
Yes.
Gotcha. Good.
And then you will contact the college office.
Yes.
They'll be added to the.
Yes, so what I'll do is I'll put it in, I'll say, hey, little Johnny's having issues. I'm letting you know. I'm not gonna divulge a lot of information.
Sure.
For confidentiality purposes. I'm just gonna say, I've submitted an alert for him.
Yeah.
Be able to look out, somebody might contact. And with John being in the center, he'll see a lot of these. So he'll probably do some intentional interaction as well and intervention, or get us involved in it more so.
Oh, good. All right.
So, but yeah, it's very simple and straightforward. As soon as it comes right to my email, I get a notification every time one comes in. I look at it, see what it needs. If it's just, hey, Johnny's homesick, I will let Miss Ashley know and helping household services. Johnny's homesick, I'm gonna recommend that he come over. But if it's something bigger, family death, something like that, I'm gonna get more people. Okay?
Great.
But that's essentially peer mentor in a nutshell. They are not paid, but they are willing to be there. My expectation is that they are there engaging in the process. Please use them in the classroom. Don't let them sit there up front all the time. Have them have conversations. They can pass out papers and stuff like that, but let them give their experience. Okay?
And I've had hit or miss with them. Michael knows this. I've had some really great ones, and I had a couple. I had one who liked to be on her phone the whole time, and that's exactly the wrong example and I had to tell her, no, you can't be on your phone here. That's exactly the wrong example we want them to set for our students, right? So anyway, hopefully they'll be good with you. And again, deal with Michael. Any questions about peer mentors, go to him, not me, just so you know. Because I don't know, I'm just one of you with that.
Is there a cell phone policy?
So for the classroom 101,
Well, let me rephrase that. Number one, is there a cell phone policy in general? Number two, is there a specific cell phone policy for this class? In past classes I used to teach, I had really strict cell phone policy. I gave them a couple points, like I deduct points majorly on their grade.
So what I have done, I tell them because of our roles, we may get a call and go.
Or is that syllabus or something?
Yeah. I think
There's something in the syllabus about it, yeah.
But for me, I tell them, look, I will have my phone out, it'll be on silent. If it rings, I will have to answer it because of what I do. I expect the same. You can have it on the desk on silent. Don't be on it. That's what I do for my classes. Because I understand that being attached from their other appendage for 50 minutes may put one of them in a tailspin, but that's the expectation. Most of the time they're very receptive to it. As long as we
I
go.
think, yeah, with that, you have to do what you do, and make it comfortable for you. But there is a cell phone policy, and we encourage them to only use it when we're using it for class activities. Their laptops, same thing. I mean, you let them use their laptop. Some people prefer to take notes on laptop. If you're okay with that, let them do it. Some people still want them to write it down, but they don't take a whole lot of notes in this class anyway. This class is more discussion and experience. All right. They get a class credit, don't they, Mike?
Not for this fall,
No?
unfortunately. I was
Oh.
not able to get it set up. The goal is to have them in college 200 to 205. I want to be able to and I've been having since we started the program. And it seems like it builds traction, then something else jumps in front of it and it falls back down to the bottom. I have in mind hiring them as a part-time employee for FYE. I'm still working on logistics of that, so budget for events, we all know that. Everyone gets yelled at every time we finish. Well, I'm up front with those kind of things. Right now, I usually get them swag. I'll give them like that way bag, polo, a name tag, and they're usually fine because it's like I'm part of the experience. It's that whole I'm giving back to the buy-in. So, and most of them are enrolled or are already doing this. So we're not just giving them the title of it. Like I said, a lot of them are Greek or RAs or sports teams, so they're already mentors in some capacity.
All right, Michael, thank you so much. I moved your computer over there, if you don't mind. Great. So measures of success for you. We just talked about how our peer mentors and the expectations for them and how they're going to be successful with us. Now we're going to talk about, for you, what's going to measure your success as the college life instructor in your sections. I say sections with plural because 6 of us are teaching 2 this fall. There's a bunch of us that are teaching 2. And so congratulations, I'm joining that group and we'll see how it goes. So the first task that you have and how you're going to measure whether you're successful teaching this class is if you get to know every one of the students. Clearly learn their names the first week if you can. I know it's going to be tough for some of us with lots of students. But do whatever, if you know a name game. If you're peer mentor, they know names games, don't they, Michael? They know some name games and things like that. So just, get to know them as soon as you can. And, that's important. One of the things that, what you're gonna need to do too is you might be asked a question. If a student is showing up to your class and not others, they might say, well, what do you know about them? You know, because they're not showing up to math, but they're coming to college life apparently. The attendance that you keep in Wolf Den is really important. You have to mark it and keep it current within a week. I mean, if you don't mark it in the grade book in class, that's understandable. I don't do that. I mark it on a separate sheet and I transfer it to the grade book later. You do it how you do it. If you want to bring your laptop to class, which you will probably be doing that every time, and mark it right then, that's fine. But that's really important, and getting to know them and who they are. That's one of our measures of success for the college life instructor. The second one, well, actually, I wanted to do a little table discussion here on that number one. Why don't you talk for a couple minutes, just a minute or two with your table mates about what tactics do you use to get to know your students? Everybody share one or two, literally about 1 or 2 minutes. It's not a long time. Okay? So just share for a couple of minutes. How do we get to know our college?
I kind of did what I do. It's like with my athletes. So when I first, because a lot of freshmen always have a large freshman class at the end. Every year or so, what we do is and I practice, I give it to them like that. Go home, fill this out, bring it back to practice. Then we'll put it in like a fish card. Then we'll do like a game in practice where they have to figure out who it's to by talking. So like that talk, yeah, they get to know that also while I'm learning who they are. So that's what we do.
Well, one thing that you can do. But so it was really a team building exercise. That we get to know each other. Stay on the stuff. So they would get to know each other. You know, it was a lot of fun. They would get to know each other. We would have fun. Take a couple of pieces of toilet paper.
Take about 1 more minute, everybody. 1 minute.
Like yes,
Yeah, yes. All right, if you can wrap that conversation up, everybody.
yes.
This is the wrap up signal, everybody. All right, good, good. Thank you for sharing that. And any icebreakers or, kind of things you like to do, bring them in, especially the first few days. And your peer mentor may have some of that too that they can share with you. The second measure of success, work to meet our student learning outcomes for the class. This involves the assignments. This involves the readings and the guests and the topics. You are expected to come to the guest sessions, even if you've seen them before. Some of our guests are in the room. John Hussein does a session for us. We're going to talk about who those guests are this afternoon. But all the guest sessions this year are going to be here in the CT, in the Ganan, because that's the room I found, and it's consistent this way, which is good. So it's a good thing. And once I realized that was going to happen, I started moving more and more classes over here because I needed rooms for those classes. I said, we're going to be there for that anyway. So it's good. But those sessions are informative, and then we know more about what our students are supposed to know, and we can help direct them and answer questions and who to call and things like that too. So the topics, they're listed all in the syllabus. Again, when you get to that, I hope that you will plan your class session, you know, a day or so beforehand. And if you have any questions, you'll ask before you just go in there and don't know what you know, we don't want to put anybody in that position, obviously. And we planned these classes for you, the planning team did. So please ask if you just don't know where to find the stuff on the, you know, what are we supposed to teach about the catalog or whatever. Or you can invent a way to teach something about the catalog. There's not an SLO that says they have to know X, Y, and Z from the catalog, but they have to be familiar with how to find stuff. So that's where your creativity can come in, and you can use that. The readings, we're only doing about 4 or 5 chapters. We don't do that many chapters from the book. The book has like 68 chapters in it. It's an online free resource. It's posted. You saw it in the Wolf Den already. I'll show you again later. There's no reason why the students shouldn't read it. And I even encourage I get to class about 10 minutes early, as soon as the class before it ends, every time. And what I will do is I'll ask them when the first few people come in, did you do the reading? Did you read the chapter? We're talking about it today. And someone will say, oh, I forgot, you know, they're first year students, don't forget. I'll say, do it right now. And they've got 8 minutes before class, they can read it. They literally can. So I hope that you will really strongly encourage them. The goal with the readings are A, they can participate better in the class discussion. And B, we're setting up the system by which they should learn to read for other classes where they got to read 50 pages, you know. And so hopefully that's, and tell them that. That's how they're going to be successful in their other classes. So we got to make sure we do them and cover the topic. And of course, the assignments. I talk about this all the time with the College Life Group. Nobody's exempt from any assignments. They all do them all. If they just don't do it, give them an opportunity to make it up, change the due date if you have to. When I do that, I usually give them a 10% grade penalty because they're tardy, unless it was a medical thing or some other legitimate reason, then just waive the penalty. You know, you got to use your judgment on it. I can't make those calls for you. But try and encourage them to do it. Again, we're teaching them how to be good college students, and they're going to mess up. So give them another chance, and then if they don't do it at all, they get a 0. I mean, that happens. That just does. Okay. Academic advising and spring schedules. We have to encourage them, and our goal is that every student has a spring schedule by the end of the fall semester. There is an assignment in the syllabus. They get 10 or 15 points, I forget what it is, just for having their spring schedule done by the time they're supposed to have it done. Now, the due date is it's about 8 days after they're eligible to register for classes, about a week and a half. That's intentional, but that doesn't mean they can't turn it in late. Sometimes they have a hold on their account and they just can't get their schedule in by that date. Sometimes their advisor hasn't had time to meet with them. So, you know, talk with them. If it's turned in tardy and you wish to waive the late penalty, then you do that. If they just slacked off and they didn't meet their advisor and they turned it in 2 weeks late, okay, great. Give them the 1 point off, a 10-point assignment or something like that, so they'll lose a point. I think when they get the grade penalty sometimes, it's helpful to them, because we're not just giving them, you know, all the time in the world to do every assignment. My colleagues don't like that. In fact, we have some people who don't take anything late. That's a little harsh, I think. There's always circumstances that we don't know about that these students are going through. But try and work with them, and this is where the top one comes in too. Get to know the student and find out what the problem is, and use your judgment on all the assignments, not just the schedule. But many of you know that a good KPI, a key performance indicator that we know about retention, is if the student has a spring schedule. And that's why we want them to have a spring schedule. So we're going to teach them how to do it in the class. We're going to make them get an appointment with their advisor. You can ask them, you know, they come into class one day, when's your appointment with your advisor? When's your advisor appointment? When you meet them? And, you know, you can really just ask them that if you want to encourage them to do that. And they got to have that spring schedule, and they take a screenshot of it and they send it in for their assignment. Some students won't be able to figure out how to do that. That's okay. Have them come into class and go on their phone or their laptop and show you that they're registered. Then give them credit. That's fine with me. You do that however you want, but, make sure that they get their spring schedule. And there are contingencies for that too, which we'll talk about later, like if we know it's not returning, we don't want them to have a spring schedule, but we'll talk about that this afternoon. Meet all class sessions as scheduled. That's one of your goals for your measure of success. I mean, it should go without saying, you're professionals, you gotta be there, you gotta be ready. As I said, if you have to miss a class, there's a form you fill in. And if I know in advance, I will help you find one of us to cover. If you wanna say, hey, I'm not gonna be here, replace Eddie, cover for me. So great, just do that. I do need to know about that, just because I wanna make sure that if somebody says, hey, so-and-so wasn't in their college life class today, so I'm over here, I'll say, yeah, I know. Aisla told me that, and that was covering for him, so we're good. You know, that doesn't happen often. It's just, this class, when it was approved by the faculty in 2019 to start in 2020, was approved with the promise that we would have academic rigor, that we would meet all class sessions. And that's why I emphasize this every time we have these planning sessions. It's 3 credit hours. It's like a history class or an English class or whatever. And so we have to make sure that we're holding the students to the standard and holding ourselves to the standard. The students can't just not go to class. Yes, ma'am.
We put the first discussion, like, I'm already, it's going to daycare, the daycare like is going to occur. And I'm probably gonna go call someone that's like, yo, you're, come get your kid. Is it okay to put them on?
Right, and that's, yeah, you could, that would be fine, you know, depending upon what you're doing. If it's a guest, then, you know, the guest, they send your students anyway, and just let the other people that are gonna be in the room, you know, so someone can take attendance for you. We might be able to zoom you in, who knows? But yeah, you've done that a lot, and you always let me know, which is great. Those aren't absences. When you switch to virtual, those aren't absences. It's a courtesy if you send me a quick email, say, hey, I have to be virtual today, X, Y, Z. And, you know, it shouldn't happen like every other class session or anything like that. If it's an emergency, it's an emergency. Okay. All right. And then finally, consistency in, back to meeting all class sessions. What we don't want to have is students show up for class and then the instructor's not there. It does happen in other areas. We just have people who you can't just say, hey, will you go teach my class? You know, we have one graphic design instructor. No one else can really go teach that class. We have one Spanish instructor. Okay, so yeah, I mean, it's not always possible, but here it is, and that's why I made that point. Consistency in approach with assignments and survey. There are several times throughout the semester where you'll get an email from me with a link in it. It says, hey, on this day we're doing the first year student satisfaction survey. Please allow 15 minutes, and it's on the syllabus already. These are on your syllabus for those class days already. You got to allow 15 or 20 minutes to do that in class, so they do it while they're in class. And this is where your planning comes into play. You look ahead to, you know, you're teaching on Monday and then they're coming back on Wednesday, you know there's a survey. Please remind them to bring their laptops. If they don't have a laptop, which some of our students don't, unfortunately, but if they don't, okay, let them use their phone for that, if they can do that. If they need to, if they just don't have the phone that's working or whatever, you can do it at the end of class. And all you can do is trust the student, but you could send them to the Wessels Library and say, go do the survey right now on the computers in the Wessels Library. That's where they go if their computer's broken. That's where they go if they don't have a computer to use in class. I mean, I literally had to send a student over there last year to do the Clifton Strengths assessment, because we do that in class. And they did it because they had the results and everything. So, you know, these are, the surveys are, that's participation. We don't grade them or anything, but there's 3 or 4 of them we'll do the assessment and the assignments. So those are the measures of success for you that I've set out for you, and the planning team looked at and say, yeah, these work. Any questions on that? One point. Sure.
I know it was an issue last year between first and second semester. To make sure if student gets 0 or has turned in, make sure you actually go make sure the grade is put in as 0. If you just don't give a grade, it will not automatically do that, and it'll adjust their final grade with like one less assignment, and it'll kind of put things off. But they deserve 0, they won't complete it, so get a lot higher grade than they deserve.
Yep. There's a time when you've just got to say, okay, too late, you get a 0. And you have to decide when that is. Michael, go ahead.
These students do everything. So be prepared for that if you're in a classroom that they may try to do every single thing.
Okay.
PM, when you come by our office.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing that because we have several classes over here, as you know. All right, so I'm going to share this. Next, we're moving into the next part of our agenda, which is a purpose exploration activities part. Good. So we're caught up just about 5 minutes behind our schedule, but that's good. Dr. Krista Hughes runs the Muller Center, and Carlton Kiner works very closely with Krista. Krista's prepared a short video for us that we're going to watch right now. And this is going to introduce our unit in purpose exploration, which is, it covers about 3 or 4 different class sessions. It's a good portion of our curriculum because we really want to encourage our students to explore with purpose. And that's where we're starting. That's where we'll go ahead and watch our video.
Good morning. I am Krista Hughes. I know most of you. I'm the director of the Muller Center on campus, and I'm sorry I can't be with you all today, especially because I'm teaching a couple of sections of college life this semester as well. But I am coming to you from Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, where I'm at a staff retreat for a second job I've taken on. And I can tell you more about that some other time. But I'm piping in here, so to speak, to talk to you a little bit today about the Lutheran liberal arts tradition of Newberry College and how that impacts what we're offering our students in college life. Many of you have already heard my spiel before, but you know, it never hurts to be reminded, and this is something that certainly I'm passionate about. Pat has already passed out to you several documents. I'm just really going to use these next 8 to 10 minutes to talk through those documents and how they can help you support your students throughout college life and give you a little bit of orientation to some of the things that are woven into college life with regard to what we call behind the scenes vocational exploration. And with students use the language of purpose exploration. So that's my plan for the next few minutes. So let me just give you a little bit of overview. We are a Lutheran liberal arts college at Newberry College. The interesting thing about this is that our Lutheran mission informs what we offer students, but it doesn't mean that people at Newberry have to self-identify as Lutheran or even Christian, which is a good thing because only a handful of faculty, staff, and students do self-identify as Lutheran. But if you work at Newberry College and you take purpose exploration seriously, then you are still a vehicle for a Lutheran education. And that's what we're trying to offer our students, is draw on the richness of that tradition. And a huge piece of that is what we think of as whole life calling. We certainly are here in order to empower and equip our students to be able to make a living in a career of their choice, to give them those skills. I always like to say we want them to leave Newberry with the capacity, or at least on the path, to be able to put a roof over their heads, food on their tables, to take care of their families and their extended network as they feel called. We want them to have a sense of fulfillment in their jobs, but not only that, we also want them to have rich lives. And so in addition to preparing them for livelihoods, we want to help them prepare for life. As all of us know, we are whole people, and we want to engage our students as whole people. And so that's the perspective out of which we work. And this is a lot of what we mean by purpose exploration. We have increasingly deepened this as a theme in college life, and I'm so appreciative to Pat and Michael Smith and others who have been shaping FYE and college life over the years, that we've been able to deepen more and more the purpose exploration. And now it's actually a part of our QEP, which is focused on developmental advising. So we're really starting to have a more cohesive vision across campus. And we have a key role as college life instructors to lay that foundation for our incoming students. So I just want to talk about a couple of things conceptually And then I'll talk a little bit about practicalities of what we're going to dive into much earlier this year than we have in the past if you've taught this before. So the first thing is you do have cheat sheets, so to speak, in front of you. You've got one sheet that is purpose in a nutshell. That's really.
Okay, so what the paper she's talking about, they were emailed to you and they're in our MS Teams. If you don't look at them now, you'll be able to look at them later. I'm also going to post this link to Zoom in the Teams once we're done today. If you want to go back and look at the handouts, that'll be up to you. Okay. Oh, she looks so sad because I didn't print it for her. Okay.
How we understand purpose and calling on our campuses or on this campus. And again, whole life calling and a few things that may push against how people have understood a sense of calling or purpose in the past. We want our students to understand that their purpose can be multidimensional. It's not just about their jobs, as I've talked about. Purpose is also expansive and ever changing. We know, having lived on earth for a while, that our relationships and our circumstances shape the decisions we make. And so it's not just about being in our heads. This is one reason we have also shifted from the language of finding your purpose to exploring with purpose. It's really easy for those of us who are already somewhat established in our lives to be able to look back and say, yes, this is my purpose. For young people, a lot of them are struggling to even identify a major, much less a life purpose. So talking about exploring with purpose means we are giving them skills for purpose or vocational exploration throughout their lives, because these are constantly shifting with our circumstances and our relationships. And so we want to equip them for a developmental understanding of purpose. So we're going to try our best to use the language of exploring with purpose or explore with purpose as our language with them. You may or may not be aware, depending on how long you've been at the college, we do have a tagline. I don't hear it as much anymore, but it was passion, purpose, and personal attention. And so I've talked about purpose. I also want to say something really quickly about passion. Passion language is great. We want to be able to tell our students that we want them to find and shape lives and livelihoods that they enjoy and that they're passionate about. It is often the case, and I have given Pat a video, and my apologies, I can't remember if it's been distributed yet or not, but it will be, that passion is often something that is discovered along the way as we gain mastery of things. So it's also not a question of just finding our passion and then going and figuring out what we're going to do. This is something that I would also want us to lift up with students, that they may have to try some things and experiment with things. They may discover they don't like some things. And we do have a good handful of students at the college that start down a certain major and then they realize it's not for them. We want them to know that that is not failure, that that's just experimentation. This is what we do in life, and better to discover that now than get into the profession and be miserable 2 years down the road. So we want to be really careful about how we use both purpose and passion language, and just want to offer that, and I'm happy to talk more about this. We certainly want to use that language. We want to make sure that we're using it in a way that encourages our students and doesn't discourage them, of course. The last piece I want to talk about, the last kind of chunk here, is what I've called the purpose puzzle, and you also have that handout. It's my attempt at some scarlet and gray there, purpose puzzle. These are the dimensions of purpose as we understand them at Newberry College. I will be presenting on this to students just in a few weeks. I think it's the second week of the semester that I am the visiting guest, and I'll be going over the purpose puzzle. And so you have it there for you to be thinking about. These are the dimensions of exploring with purpose, and they have to do with personality, whether one is an introvert or an extrovert, for example. There's a lot that goes into personality, but that's kind of an obvious one. There are our skills and our gifts and our talents. And then they're just our personal inclinations. And so you've got all those kind of personal things there. The Clifton Strengths activities that we're going to be doing at the very beginning, that goes in that skills and talents and inclinations. We're going to be using Clifton Strengths not only in college life this year, but it's going to become key. It already is starting to be incorporated into our developmental advising model. And this is one reason we are moving it from second semester to first semester, because more and more of us on campus are going to be using that as one tool to help our students to discern a sense of purpose, to make sure they're going into a promising major for them, and really to help them troubleshoot if they get down the road and realize this is not what they need or want to be doing. There's also values exploration that we will be doing this semester. That's another component of kind of personal identity. So we've got personality, gifts and strengths, and values. Obviously, we need to be helping our students reflect on their values throughout their time at Newberry College, and we will start some of that this semester as well. Let me personally offer, if you would like any assistance with values exploration beyond what we're doing in this class, just let me know. There's a lot out there. The other two dimensions of the purpose puzzle are about community or relationships rather than the individual. So one of those is about career. And I always want to encourage you to encourage students to visit with Casey Klein, our Director of Career Services. She will start working with students from day one on campus. It's not just something that needs to happen in junior or senior year. She also has a developmental plan for students that parallels the academic advising plan, and she and Carrie Caudill are working on that. So be sure that you encourage students to interface with Casey, who will also at some point be doing a class visit. And then the other piece is community. We are people who are in relationship and in community. Calling is not just about myself, but it is what I'm called to give back to the world. This is part of purposeful living, is not just living for myself alone, not just Lutheranism or Christianity, but many of the great wisdom traditions of the world, from religions to humanism, understand this, that we are not called to just live for ourselves alone, but we have gifts and talents to share toward the common good and to make the world a better place. So this is also an area of exploration. Sometimes community engagement opportunities can help students realize what they have to offer the world and a direction they want to go in. You have in the room today, I'm sure if he's not off doing something else, Carlton Keinert, he's going to talk to you about purpose packs. But he also, more importantly, in the Muller Center is over our community engagement work. And so we equip students to connect with the community, find ways to give back while also learning something about themselves and growing skills. So this is a key piece too, and it's why actually vocation and community engagement are located in the same place on campus, because we do understand vocation about, yes, about the individual, but also about the individual in relation and who are they called to be in the world. So that's the purpose puzzle. And again, we are pairing my visit with Clifton Strengths, just to keep in mind that the Clifton Strengths is really about self-awareness. And this is the other piece I would add as I close out. Those personal pieces that I just showed of the purpose puzzle are about growing self-awareness. We have students, right, in the world of social media. They are so influenced by the world telling them who they can and ought to be. They're not often given permission to reflect on who they are. Clifton Strengths, the values exercise, are an opportunity for them to really dig in, be given permission to consider who they are authentically. And at the same time, we're going to give them opportunities to explore in relation. So that's the community engagement. That is the campus activities that we have them do, because we want to balance the world exploration and the self-exploration. With that, I think I've covered everything I need to cover. I hope you all have a great day together. I'm sorry I can't be there with you. And if I can be a resource for any of this moving forward, even anything beyond college life that you do on campus wearing your other hats, please be in touch with me, with Carlton, and we are here to serve you and serve our students. Have a great day.
Okay, so that was Krista Hughes. Carlton works real well with her. As you've heard, Carlton, we're going to get to you in a moment. Before we get to you, I'm going to go back into my wolf den here and into our class. And to build on what Krista was just talking about and some of the stuff that Michael was just talking about a little while ago, we're going to go to why we do the assignments we do. So actually, yeah, so let's go into, I think I went into the wrong class here. Hang on for a second. Let me go into this one. Okay, good. So I showed you so here, the default page are all the assignments. Now, you know what I forgot to do? Hang on for just a second, everybody. I forgot to start the recording over. So people who aren't here are going to just miss all that. Or are we recording?
Yeah, but you're gonna load it.
Oh, I'm recording. I am recording, it looks like. Okay. It says recording. So I guess I'm recording. Okay, good. All right. Anyway, yeah, I'll share my screen now. Thank you. Okay, I'm way ahead of myself. I thought I forgot to record again. Okay, so here we go with the wolf den. And the one thing I want to show you is the purpose of most of the assignments are listed in the assignment. Now, I don't know if the students read these or not, but it's something you might want to show them and even share with them orally, because most of them are not too complicated. For example, when the student, in fact, I'm going to go into student view here real quick. And show you what the students see. If you don't know how to do this, this is a real good trick. You just go into view as students and then change view. This is what the students see when they're in coursework. It's a little different from us. But as you scroll through, you see, and we don't have to read it right now, but the gray box on every one of these assignments is the purpose of the assignment. It's why they're doing it. I hope that none of our assignments are busy work. I hope that none of our assignments are just because, you know, we have to have points for something. I hope that you can connect it all to their success in college, which in turn connects to success in their future and in their career. It's why they do them all. So just take a look at them. I mean, introductory questionnaire. It's a personal dialogue between you and your College 101 instructor to help your instructor get to know you and guide you through a successful first semester at Newberry College. That's why they have to do that assignment. And they get 10 or 15 points for it. I don't remember all the point values off the top of my head, but they're all in the assignments for you. So that's the why we're doing every assignment. They're all in there. And I hope that you will point that out to them and encourage students to respectfully and teach them how to, maybe if they are confused about an assignment in another class, maybe they can inquire about it in an intellectual and respectful way with their professors. I don't think any of our colleagues would have a problem trying to explain, because we all put assignments in for a reason. We should know the reason as instructors. And so this is a real intentional way. I do this in the speech class too that I teach. In my speech classes, because I want to know why they're having to do these different speeches and why they have to do this and what. So that helps motivate them. That's what the hope is anyway. Carlton, I'm going to turn it over to you now, if you don't mind, and you talk about our purpose packs. And then we're going to do some exercises with the purpose packs.
Sure. So most of you all, if you are new, have your purpose pack cards. The purpose of purpose pack cards is to truly spark some conversations with your students. I have found great success in the Muller Center whenever we are doing our academic programming, which your students will participate in throughout the semester and academic year. With our Muller Center table talks, we at least have about 3 or 4 cards on the lunch tables in the cafeteria. And just give you a little short background for our new folks. Our lunchtime table talks is an academic event where we allow our faculty, staff, alumni, and community members from our community around Newberry and around the state, just to host tables in the cafeteria and to spark conversations and connect students in a different way. So if there's a business student, business major student on campus, and they attend our event, and we may have someone from our board of trustees who is a business owner, per se, maybe Joe Trainer, who is a business owner and also a board of trustees member here at Newberry College. Will be great to have that conversation with the student from a business administration standpoint. And through that, we have different cards that ask different questions. So for example, the one I have in my hand here is asking, what unique contribution does your generation have to offer the world? And the follow-up is, what wisdom do other generations have to offer to your own? So that's a great way for, when Michael talks about Gen Z, that's a great way for millennials to connect with Gen Z, or even the generation that Gen Z do not like all the time is the baby boomers. So allow those two generations to have that conversation, and especially when it talks about generational connections, I think that's a great way we can use our purpose pack cards. Also, a way you can use it in your classroom, great icebreaker, especially in the beginning of the semester when you want to get to know your students more. This is great to use in your classrooms. And there, as Pat has already mentioned, there is a purpose declaration session throughout the semester. Great way to also to engage your students with yourself and also with their peers inside the classroom as well. If you ever find yourself finishing up class early, this is another great way to pull out the card and say, hey, let's have some conversation before we end the class. So there's many ways you can use the purpose pack card. And I also use them in the political realm as well. So I have taken my purpose pack cards off campus and used them with my colleagues on city council. And that is a great way for us to connect in that way. And I've also used them with my fraternity brothers on campus as well. Leadership development things here on campus as well. And also to connect with each other. So there are many ways to use purpose pack cards. I'm here to help you have a good question.
So Krista mentioned purpose journey, or she said we all got here in a different way, right? So what we want to do for about the next 20 minutes or so is there are 3 activities. I think I have a PowerPoint I'm going to put up for this in a moment. But the first thing I want to ask everybody to do is to share your purpose journey with your table mates. And what I mean by purpose journey is, how did you get from where you were when you started, college to where you are today? And what twists and turns happened? And are you in the same field that you thought you were going to be in, or the same kind of a job in that field? And how many times has it changed? Share your purpose journey. And this is something, we can do an abbreviated version of it today. You can share as much or as little as you want with your students. And I hope that you will share this with your students, because that piece that Krista said about changing majors, a lot of our students do. Some people might not even think about a double major, and maybe they should or could. And some of our majors are, 36, 45 credits. They can easily get a double major. So sharing your purpose journey with your students is helpful, because they know you ain't always, maybe going to be a teacher here at Newberry College. And that's where we all are right now. So do that. And then after that, with your purpose pack cards, and you can do it in class anyway. Like for icebreakers, like Carlton was saying, you might want to pick the card, right? Sometimes I'll just go into class with my purpose pack and I'll just ask a student, pick a card, any card, right? And then they read it, and then everybody, you can let them think about it. They can just have a conversation. It depends on what's being asked. Or you could do small groups like we're doing in here with 5 at a table, 4 at a table, 3. So you can do a couple of these cards with your table group. And then the last part of this session we're going to go on now, and I'll set a timer on this. We have about 20 minutes for this, and then lunch will be here. The last part of this session is we're going to look at you can open up your syllabus to the College 101 and 102 SLOs and PLOs, which are on the syllabus. And how does purpose exploration connect with any of those PLOs or SLOs? And talk about that with your group. Okay, so there's 3 parts to it. Share your purpose journey, play with purpose pack cards, and then the last 5 or 10 minutes, how do these connect to SLOs and PLOs? All right, and then we'll move right into lunch. Okay, so go ahead and start. I'm going to ask you to hang out for a second while I do something over here, and I'll be right back with you. Okay.
Yeah, we finally were able to.
Recording. Screen. Share. Okay. Hang on for 1 second. I got to get this recording fixed right. Okay, let me share my screen. All right, so with our guest visits, we're going to have 7 of them. Okay. No, what? Wait a minute. Why isn't it changing? Stop share. Hang on for a second. I shared the wrong one. Let's share this one. Okay. I like to start a meeting and know what I'm doing, but sometimes I don't. So, okay. Display settings. Duplicate. Okay, it's not going to work. So we'll go like this with it. That's fine. It's close enough. I don't have all the guests listed, but we'll just, yeah, I do have them listed on my agenda right. You got it. Okay, so with our guest visits, I'll do the first one. So in your syllabus, you notice, folks, okay, we're back up. So in the syllabus, there's certain days when different speakers are going to be coming to visit our classes. There's going to be 4 sections usually, sometimes it's 3, but most hours of the day we have 4 different college life sections. So that's 72 students. They'll be coming with the instructors, and they'll all meet in the Gadan right over here, down the hall from us where we are now. The first one coming in is going to be Dr. Hughes, Krista Hughes, who you saw in the video a little while ago, and she's going to talk about purpose, exploration, values, and goals. That's happening August 30th or 31st. When you look at your syllabus, both dates are listed there. You know if you're teaching Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday. And if you want to erase the other date, delete the other dates, you can do that, of course. I didn't really mention that. And by the way, a side note, I just sent you another version of the syllabus because there was one assignment that we renamed that I forgot to rename in the syllabus. And there was like one word that was misspelled. So anyway, if you already did your syllabus, you already sent me yours, go with it. It's fine. You don't have to change it. But just, we're fine. If you haven't finished your syllabus yet, and you're going to do that later this afternoon in the meeting, like I suggested on this agenda, you can do that this afternoon and use the one I just sent. So those are our guest visits. That's our first one. And Krista will lead us into the Clifton Strengths. And we'll talk about that class session in a little while. But she's going to do the setup kind of like she did for us with our students. And she has a whole 45 minutes that she takes. So John, why don't you talk about the second guest?
The second guest, we will have staff from the Center for Student Success. They'll be coming in. It'll be, I'll have to be up pretty much all over. But then we're going to have other CSF staff members coming as well so that the students can put names and faces. So we'll talk about what are the services that we offer within the CSS. Ms. Peggy Dominguez, she's also going to be there because she's going to come in and talk about student disability services, students accommodations, how do they request their accommodations and how that process actually works. So we'll talk about what we do in the center. So our students can know the resources that we offer.
And that guest visit might be John, it might be some of his colleagues, because he preaches too, and he can't come to every one of those, but he'll
I think I'll be there pretty much all of you.
Are you gonna make them all this
I think
time?
I'll be able to make all of them.
Oh, wow, okay, good. All right, terrific. I didn't know when you're teaching soon. Great. Okay, the third guest on the list is Healthy Lifestyle. This is from Dr. Jerry Alewine. I think Kay and Tracy know Dr. Alewine. Our students walk out of this. My students literally told me last year, when I was reviewing it, they said, oh, that's the man that gave us STDs. Yeah. So, Jerry has a deep presentation. He doesn't never do that, but he does an exercise and he says, what if these were, you'll see. I don't want to give it all away, but anyway. But he does talk about that. He talks about a bunch of different things, just how you live healthy, and Jerry's fun to listen to. So he'll come in and do that at the end of September. And if you notice, we have these scheduled out. There are usually a few classes in between, but 3 and 4 go right back to back. So go ahead, John, with number 4.
So with library orientation, before what we did was we took our sections to Wessel's library, and they talked to us there, but because we have such large numbers, they will actually now come to us and do their presentation with us. So they'll take half the class period, they'll talk about the library resources that we have, but you'll also notice that that's only going to be half the class. And so for the other part of the class is we're going to be in Ghanaian the goal is, or the plan is, that everybody will take their sections like in a corner, and we can start talking about the final reflection, or they can do purpose exploration with that extra time.
Yeah, yeah, we have 2 of those classes like that coming up. The number 5 on the list, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. We have a new director, a vice president for DEIB on campus, Althea Richardson. I don't know how many of you have met her yet, but I have. Great conversation with her. She's gonna do some wonderful things with our health. And one of the things that we like to do is bring this element into our college life classes. The students will have to write a reflection essay after this class period. So it'll be important that they get something out of that, and then you follow up with it. We also have some resources in the teams that you can share with the students the day after that just kind of reinforce hopefully what Althea is going to be sharing with us. And I think Althea is going to do all those, but she might enlist the help of someone else too if she can't make it to every single one of them. It's 7 visits in 2 days that we're asking our guests to do. There's 5 on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and 2 on Tuesday, Thursday. So they might not all make everything. We'll see. Okay, so go ahead, John.
Then next, with advising and scheduling, we will have different members from the QEP committee will actually come in, and they will be talking to our students about academic advising. Yeah,
4 of us, Michael too.
Yeah,
4 of us. So we might be your guest for that.
Yeah, I saw you saw which day you said. I love you too. So yeah, the QEP member, they'll come in and they'll talk about our academic advising process. They'll talk about our development of coaching model, how, a little bit of the nuts and the bolts. And so that's what that visit will be all about.
Yeah, and I had to do that guest visit once for my own class, and they were a little disappointed because they get me every day. So I hope that we go into other people's classes.
Absolutely.
Because, at least I don't want y'all to come into mine. I don't want to do it for myself. What? Yeah, I'll send a reminder, because I do that for the guests too. I mean, so they make sure they have it. I'll send, what Sai's talking about is about a week before, and we need to remind our students the week before for the guest visit, or the day before for sure. And by the way, the first one's gonna be tough, because we gotta get them all over here, and most of the classes are on the main campus, they gotta come over here. Some of them will never have been here before, so this is where the peer mentor can help, this is where buddies can help, so all that kind of stuff. So just get them over here and tell them not to be late. Students are gonna have classes over here. We're teaching other classes over here other than just college life and education. So they do need to come over here, and we just need to get them here. Okay, so John, where are we? 7? Yeah, why don't you do 7 while I get ready for the next one, okay?
Sure. And so this is one switch that we made from last year. In the years past, financial aid would come and talk in 102. They requested that they come in and talk in 101 now, especially because I think that FAFSA opens up like October 30th or something like that. And so but what we also understand, the FAFSA like itself is going to change, so they need to talk about those changes as well. So Leanne or Danielle will be in classes either the 1st or the 2nd of November. They'll talk about financial aid, the FAFSA, they'll talk about loans, all that good stuff. That's the other class period where they will only be there half the time. And so the other part of class, we will do our chapter 3 discussion. So same thing, being the Dan, you'll break up and go in a corner and just talk with your class.
Yeah, chapter 3 is a really good chapter to do that with, because it's a student experience that the author just writes her experience as a student, and we get to share that with our students. So they should have read it beforehand, and then we talk about it. So that's good. Okay, turn it in. How many of you know what turn it in is? Does everybody know what turn it in is? Yeah? Okay, great. Then I don't have to do too much about this. The assignments that have turn it in attached to them are already in your Wolf Den for you. So you don't have to set that up. The complication that I have found with turn it in is that when a student doesn't turn their assignment in by the due date, you have to change the due. I mean, there's a way to do it and turn it in. It's a little more complicated than just allowing them to turn it in late. If you need help with that, ask somebody and allow them to turn it in late, but please don't ask them to email it to you because it's closed, in the Wolf Den. They need to turn it in and turn it in if it's a turn it in designated assignment. Because unfortunately, every year, we have people, Zach and I deal with last year, we have people who have, they just, they share papers. And it's 99%, the mainstream. And we'd call them in and talk about academic dishonesty. And we hate doing that, but it's better if they're gonna do that, get caught in this class. It's, they lose points to the assignment, but if it's not a major term paper or something like that. So we have to teach them, look, yeah, this thing works and it does work. And we tell them that, and it's on their syllabus. But still, we just have to work with that. And so please don't accept anything. If they say they can't figure out how to do it, if they say the computer won't do it, help them with a workaround. You can help them with that by putting them, asking them to go to the library and uploading from the cloud to turn it in via Wolfden and the library computers. They can save it as a PDF and upload it to turn it in. That works. But they gotta turn it in the program if that's what they're gonna do. And the first assignment they're gonna do that with is okay, so I'm back in student view here on the thing. It's gonna be this exploring with purpose letter. The introductory questionnaire, we don't think they can really copy that because it's supposed to be about them. They can tell us a fictitious story about themselves. I hope they don't. We won't know. But anyway, I don't think that would have to be a turn-in. But the exploring with purpose letter is now going to be a turn-in assignment. That's new for us this year in College Life. We hadn't done that before. But anyway, so you'll know it when you go there. And one of the things so we've got the whole assignment there, and it says submit the file and turn it in. So it's all right there for them and for you, so you know what to tell them too. But just try and help them along. There's a day in class where we're going to talk about, we should show them, and this is something your peer mentor can really help with. If you ask the peer mentor to hook their computer up, because it looks different for the students and the faculty member when you go into the assignment. And if they hook theirs up and they say, this is how I turn an assignment in and turn it in, that'd be wonderful. Or one of these students, maybe they do that. So, all right.
On a similar note.
Yes.
Sometimes, like last year, I realized students with Macs sometimes had difficulty uploading things. People couldn't like PC or whatever. So maybe the first student, like last year, the first student figured it out on his Mac. I had him do it.
Okay, because Mac has a different way to do it than the PCs.
That seems to be the situation.
They have to actually, the best way to do that, if I put through my grandkids, they don't have the right Outlook, so it's not in the right document in Word. That's why the MacBooks don't work. But they can, for $70, buy Outlook for Mac. And when they do it, then they use that. And they can use the Word, and that way it's sending it in to turn it in. We had the same problem. That's how we figured this out.
Lots of workarounds. Whatever needs to be done, we gotta do.
The other free workaround maps have them downloaded as a PDF because it's pages is what it's running under.
Okay.
Were you gonna say, Carlton, one on that?
We also have Word and everything in your email too.
Yeah, the Microsoft 365,
Right.
that all the students get.
It turns with Macs, it turns that Outlook, the Word in Outlook, it turns it into Pages, which is the Mac version of Word.
Yeah.
So if they save it as a PDF though, it's okay?
It's a good workaround and it's a free workaround.
Good. So, yeah, and one thing that I found too, if they say Wolfden isn't working or something like that, we will know because Cindy Strange and our OIT tells us when Wolfden is down and when it's back up. So we will know when it's down. It happens occasionally. And the other thing is, if they just can't get to work on their computer, they may not be using the right browser. I don't know what browser you all use. I like to use Chrome or Firefox. Those two always work with Wolfden for me. I got no issues with those two, but the others, Safari and all of them may not work as well. So
On the online version, all of our assignments has to be done to turn it in. We tell them like, Mac users do this.
What? Can you copy that?
Yeah.
All of that?
oh yeah, put that in our resources. That'd be great.
Turn it in, you also can set the settings up where it'll set late assignments.
See, that's
but
what I don't know how to do. But I'm glad you do.
Yeah.
That's a great thing.
Because that way, and you can also, if you want them to upload pictures or something odd, and the way you can get around pages, they can upload any kind of file. That's work around.
You gotta turn it in there first.
The other interesting thing that Turnitin has started doing is they now have an AI checker.
Yeah, they do.
Chat. Kind of thing.
That's getting ready. Yeah.
It's, so they have added that feature, if that is also a concern. I don't know if y'all have played around in ChatGPT. It is fascinating.
Love it.
Changed my life. Oh, and it's like, I literally typed in just out of curiosity an SLO I had. It said, write me a lesson with this. It was pretty darn accurate. And I was like, well, that's terrifying, but like in a
It's
cool way.
terrifying, it's- yeah.
And I'm like,
Well, I think Russ
Maybe an idea.
Conrad's gonna give us a session on that at faculty in-service.
yeah,
So, because we gotta learn how to use it the right way and help our students use it
Oh, yeah,
with
that's-
ethical.
that's
So,
fantastic.
it's
And
it.
I'm,
It's not going away. We're gonna have to embrace it and use it in
That's
the
it.
right way, yeah.
Exactly, just like the internet and every other.
That's it.
technology.
so
All
it
right.
exists too, if that's a concern.
Good. So we are gonna get into the Clifton Strengths Assessment questions. How many of y'all have taken Clifton Strengths? Almost everybody. If you have not, I need to know because we need you to take it. And I'm gonna get you a code personally so you can take it. And then you can look at the worksheet and see how it's navigating. If you've taken it, you can access your results for a good number of years. I think it's 5 years afterwards. So if you've taken it recently, you can go and look at how this works. But I'm just gonna open our assignment and talk about this for a minute. There is time in class one day when students will take the assessment. It usually takes 35 or 40 minutes, depending upon the student. And the rest of that class period, once they're finished, they can start doing their worksheet as soon as they're finished with their, and you can help get them started with it as long as you're square on how to do that. So this is what the assignment that the students see. And these two documents here are what guide them through it. So here's the worksheet they have. This is after they've done the assessment. They go and they can do this assignment. And this assignment right here is the worksheet. And I'm just going to show it to you. We're not going to read through it all, but this is the worksheet that they do. And they've got the first one's pretty easy. They just list their 5 strengths, okay? They're color coded like this for a reason. Then they have to do a deep dive into each strength and go to different areas and try to analyze what they learned about themselves from their Clifton strengths. So this is the worksheet. And I just scrolled through this kind of fast, and you all can go do this at your leisure and see it and actually try some of it yourself. What I would encourage you to do, maybe don't answer all the questions unless you really want to, but at least go try and find the answers like we're asking the students do so you can help them with yours. And the way you do that is you go into this file right here. I just double checked all these directions again. I made some tweaks to this PowerPoint. This is what we give the students in the assignment. And so this is I'm going to go ahead and put it in full screen because I like it. It's like this. Oh, well, sorry, I'm not going to put it in full screen. That was a mistake. Okay. Cancel. Okay, there we go. Good. We have full screen. Okay, well, it's that screen, whatever that screen is right there. So anyway, this is what the students do to navigate through it. And the first thing is, did you complete it? If you haven't completed it, you can't use these PowerPoints yet. That's what the stop sign is for there. And then, I don't know where I'm going to stand here. Okay, I don't know if you can see. Okay, good. All right, good. So then after they've done it, then they can start doing this. Okay, so step 1, they sign into their account. It's 2 different websites, everybody, just to put that out there. You go to one website to take it, you go to another website to get your results. And they're 2 different links. And so try and keep those straight. This is the one for finding your account. All right, there's a spot on that worksheet I just showed you at the top where they're supposed to write their password. And that's fine. They're turning in the assessment to you with their password on it. Not that you're going to go in and look at it. You're going to get all the results anyway on the worksheet. It's nothing that's really highly confidential. But I asked them to do that just so that they remember their password because they're going to need it to get in here. All right, so there we go. Then they go to the summary page and I've got screenshots. Then they can answer question number 1. Then they can go to step 2. And these screenshots should help them find it, find everything they're supposed to find. So again, what I would encourage you to do is after you take it, try and do this with your results and see if you can navigate it. And if you have any questions about how to navigate, it's a complicated process to navigate, and I hate that about it. It's such a good tool. It's hard to find everything. We're asking you to go to specific places and download specific things and find them. So just try and help them through this. If you feel comfortable sharing yours, maybe you do some of this on the screen in the classroom with them after they're all done that day. So here's how you find yours. I tend to do the opposite. I tell them to go find theirs, and I walk around and see their screens and see. It's 18 in the class now, so I mean, we used to have 15, so I don't know if we're going to be able to do it. But it's got a step-by-step process for them here and what they're supposed to write. Then they just answer the questions. And the color coding here, there's green on the worksheet. So hopefully they can make those connections with these PowerPoints in their worksheet. It's hard because it's all electronic, and they're gonna need to have, you know, split screen doing it or two screens doing it. But, it can be done, and they just have to take the time to do it. And I've had some really great response from students, and I've had some that were kind of halfway. Well, that's why we have different grades, right? This is a major assignment in the class, and they all need to do it because, as Krista Hughes mentioned, it's also part of our developmental advising model, and their academic advisors will get a copy of this worksheet. I provide those to the QEP, and then they get distributed. So we haven't done that as efficiently as we want to. We got, never mind, it's a long story. I'm not gonna get into that. You all on the QEP know what I'm talking about. We're trying to get to where there's a module in Wolfton where we can just get this posted so the advisor sees it. When they change advisor, the new advisor has it. That's the smart way to do it. And we got to figure that out. And encourage your students to make sure after they do this that they go to the last slide, because this is Michael Smith's favorite part of this slideshow. This is my favorite part of the slideshow. It's not Michael's. But I have our gentleman right here. Oh, I didn't enable him. All right, well, he'll clap for you whenever. He'll clap for you. You have to do it, so I didn't enable it, so he's not going to play for us today. You don't want to hear him play?
No, I don't want. He needs to know. That's all I'm saying.
He just says congratulations, and he claps for you. So anyway,
Confetti flying and all.
no confetti. So that's the worksheet directions and what we ask them to do with that. Any questions over the Clifton Strength assignment? Pretty involved assignment. It takes 3 class periods to have Krista for 1, then they take the assessment in number 2, and then a week later they come back in, and they're supposed to talk about it. And again, set this up however you want. You want to do a group discussion? You want everybody to share their top 5? You want to put them in small groups and then they share some of their answers? I mean, just get them talking about it. So it's totally up to you. But they all need to do it. And then when you grade the worksheets, I mean, they're not really right and wrong answers. You can tell if they're taking stuff off. What it says is write 2 phrases or words here that you found that you think really apply to you. Or which one of those suggestions do you feel like you want to try? So there's not right and wrong answers, but you'll know if they answered them legitimately or not by what they write. Okay. All right. If questions come up during the semester, please ask. Alyssa, why don't you come on up and talk about the event response, and I'll try and bring that document up for you while you're talking, okay?
I'm just gonna say it. So the event reflections, Michael's gonna talk to us about the first 56 calendar that we have. And I think there are some changes on clarity of what events they should be reflecting on. We also have 3 different due dates and 3 different reflections that are already in Wolfton. So I think one of them is academic, one of them is the arts, one of them is diversity week.
Yep, that's it.
Anyway, so they are very specific, and they do have freedom to choose which events that they go to within that realm. So an academic event, it'll be labeled on the on the first 56 calendar. The arts events are clearly labeled. We also have events on the homepage of the Newberry website. I just sent Jay Salter my events for music stuff. So there's a lot of places where they can find the events. I know the calendar gets sent out to them. I personally put it on my college life page as well, so they can always access it there. And with these events, we want them to practice their critical thinking skills. So a lot of times they might go to the events and be like, this is just something I have to do, not really pay attention, and then try to do the reflection, and it's just like, he was good and stuff like that. So before we get into these, we have to talk to a lot of them about critical thinking is a practice skill, and this is part of the practicing for that. So we want, or me personally, I would like to see full sentences on these reflections, because Lord knows they need to practice working and talking in full sentences. I do grammatically correct these reflections. I know not everybody probably does that, but I feel like it's good practice for when I do ask for papers from them, because they also need practice with that. So with these reflections, it's not really right or wrong, but it's here. How do we get your thoughts to come out more clearly when you're writing this down? Or sometimes the reflections will be like texting to them. They don't capitalize things. They don't, like, it's just a few little things like that. So it's kind of like practice of like, here, let's fix some grammatical things, but also this isn't a clear thought of what happens. I know one of the things is the financial guest speaker that we had, and some of the things were a little confusing still, so we talked about that in the class following that. So I would encourage, read the reflections, give them feedback on these reflections, not just a quick, 100 that they get, and follow up with the discussions in class, because hopefully the answers they gave you on the reflections will help lead to a full class discussion in the next time.
Michael, you talked a little bit about the events calendar and stuff earlier, but what I've done here for everybody, I put a link right here. This is for the students too. There's a link right there to where the first 56 calendar is going to be. It still says next 56 now, but it'll be changed soon. It's the same link, right? It's going to be in the same place. Okay, good. That's why. So that'll work for them there. Now, the reason I opened this assignment right here is because this is the first of the event responses. They have 3 of them, as Alyssa said. This is the first one. And when you go to grade them as the instructor, you will have a rubric that you can use. And I'm going to scroll down here because the students should see it too. Yeah. So this should help you with the grading. Okay. This right here. And again, it's not to read it now, just see the picture of it and know it's there. Some of the assignments have rubrics, and I hope that you can see where their essays, that's not an essay. It's 5 prompts and they're supposed to answer the questions. And sometimes it says 2 or 3 examples and they'll put 1. So, that puts it, you just got to look at what they did. But the way these rubrics in Wolfden work, if you've not used them before, is they're broken up by, points there. If you click on that second column, this column right there, the second column, it's 28 points out of 35. But if you feel like, well, they don't need the lowest B, they were between a B and an A, but it's not an A, then you can change that 28. You can manually override the rubric grade when you grade it. And I hope that you will do that. They don't have to just get whatever it says, except the lowest one. And for the A, it's the highest one. It's just the way the rubrics work. I tried to make that the lowest A, but then it changed all the values of everything else. So yeah, yeah. So anyway, just use the rubric, and the criteria is really helpful for B in grading. And then I'll give them some comments too, like Melissa said, about that. But these are not essays. These are just sentences we want on this one. And the form that they use is right here, the event response form. It's the same for all of them. Michael, do you want to talk about the first one, the student activities event?
Yeah, so with the first 56, wanted to make sure that we're being paid on campus outside of the course. That's what this first one is. It's about connecting with other groups. So essentially, just telling them to go pick an event, go to it, and then report back. It's a simple, easy 5-question prompt. It's 5 questions, right?
There's the event response.
Is it 5 or 6?
It's 5.
It's 5. Yeah. Short, simple, to the point. And the thing with the engagement events I've done in the past, so you guys know if they missed one, I'll send them to another event. They do this, and this will make up for the assignment you just put. Right. So the other thing with that is we are doing the alumni lecture series again. I'm trying to at least. I have all those dates done, so when I send them to one of those two, that's more of a kind of a mix of engagement and academic.
So this one here, this same event response form is used for all 3 events. The first one can be a fun activities kind of event, but they're still supposed to answer the same questions. And here are the questions that are on there. If they go to an event and they come back to you and they say, I didn't really learn anything from it, it was just fun. We'll say, okay, great. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. Go to another event to be your response. That's what I'm going to tell them. You'll go to another event so you can answer the questions. And they might find that they need to go. I mean, it would be great if they found that they went to an academic one. The other 2 that they do during the semester are Duffer Diversity and Inclusion Week event, which there are 8 or 10 events that week. They've got to pick one of them. We'll have that scheduled soon. And any Muller Center event or theater event or music event or art event. The art events, we may only have 1 or 2 of those in the semester if we have that. So if they really love art, they're probably not going to get to do the art event. But we will have some of the others. We only have one theater project too. So, okay, but these are the questions that we asked them for them. And that's it. What about the event surprised you or challenged you? In what ways could have been better? If for number 5, I don't know how many of you have seen it. You've seen, they couldn't have done anything better. I loved it just the way it was. And I write them a note back. I say, you could have expanded your answer to number 5. We want them again to think critically. Think about, so they gotta have some idea. That's what we're trying to do here. So hopefully, you know, when you grade these, you use your judgment and they don't get full credit unless they do, you know, the whole work. So that's the way we want to do with everything. All right, so that's the event response. Questions? Okay, event responses, handouts, website, academic. Okay, academic calendar. Do we all know how to find our academic calendar on the website? Okay, if not, there's a worksheet that's in our teams that I'm gonna show you later that has, it's a website scavenger hunt that I don't think I made it, some other people made it a few years ago. I looked at it last night and I tweaked it a little bit, made sure the links were good, and they are. And so that's good, but that's an activity you can do, and it's got where you find the academic calendar and stuff there, just useful stuff for them. The next thing on the list, the digital photo hunt. Michael Smith, you're up with that one.
Just as the title says, it is a photo hunt of all the resources we have on campus. It's supposed to be fun and engaging and get them accustomed to the campus. It's kind of, think of it as another subset of Halifax. It's kind of reinforcing the things they've seen and things they've experienced while they were walking around campus at that point. So do groups of 3 or 4, tell them to take a photo at the location. I have them have one member of their team submit it with all of their names in it. That way I don't have to go through every single one multiple times. It's easier that way. They have the map online. They have it's 10 locations. They
15.
15. I mean, some of them are complicated because they have to actually think about it. Especially now when it says where do you find to go greet? They're gonna have to find go to
Here's the list of campus resources we asked them to go find. Yeah, so go ahead, Michael.
Class, you're gonna want it. Yep. So they're gonna see all kinds of parts of campus. Especially now that we're right across from Get Help with Your Laptop.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other thing with this is we made a key for you. So you know what you're looking for in pictures, and they have to take an USSI.
Thank you, Ted Lasso.
He's gonna get that one. Yeah, they take USSIs and they look good. Yeah.
Okay, Patrick.
No, it's from a TV show.
I think it's the right term.
It was a young kid.
Yeah, it was. It was a young person. So anyway, so this is what they do, and you can put them in groups, or you can ask them to choose groups. I tend to put them in groups so that they're not, you know, the person who doesn't know anybody over there wondering who they're going to be with. And I try to be sensitive about who's combined with who, so that you know people feel comfortable with each other too. And
I let them count off.
Count off. All right. That's
1 to 12. That way they'll never sit with, because they always sit.
Right. So they meet new people.
And it's absolutely.
And they have to make a time to meet. They have about a week and a half to do this, I think, from when we introduce it in class till when it's done. So, and you can remind them in class, say, hey, have you met with your group yet? It's all your responsibility, not one person's the leader, but you gotta be there. And if they don't show up, if 4 of them are in a group and they've made a time and place to meet and somebody misses, and then the other 3 go do it, okay, well then they get credit. The 4th one, you know, I've had a student who walked around all by himself and did it because he missed his group. And so, okay, and then he takes a selfie every place he goes. So, I mean, that can work too. Michael does the opposite of the way I do it. I make every student submit the PowerPoint. It's the same show, and it can be the same show for this. I make them all do it so they practice uploading files, but, you know, do it the way you're happy.
The other thing.
You what?
I was saying it's easier to grade if everybody have a submission. Sometimes if they don't have a submission, then it's hard.
Right, yeah. So it's totally up to you.
The other thing that I had happen the first time this past year, somebody tried to Photoshop themselves.
Yeah, out of here.
And I was like, clearly the photo doesn't match the background, first of all. Because you're outside in the ground. Yeah, and I was like, first of all, and then I said, you gotta do it again. So, I mean, just be careful.
Yeah, I know, I for sure, I had a kid who legitimately Photoshop himself every single picture. Like, took the background out and like, put himself in.
It's crazy.
They spend more time doing that than going to do
The other thing about this is the pictures are usually really fun. Students are having a good time doing it. They'll resist at first because they have to get a group of people and get together and they don't know each other. But, you know, get them exchange emails and cell phone numbers one day in class or something so they can do this. And then, like Carlton said about the purpose pack, if you got 10 minutes at the end of class and you're finished with the content for the day or whatever, show one of these and then show another one to the whole class. They love it when they get to see each other's pictures. It's just fun to run through them. Because you got them all in your wolf den, you go log in and just open them up and show them. Because that's a fun day when you can show them to each other. So
Emails are a problem. I always tell them these group message in a private group.
there you go.
Yeah, who are faculty, or I'm sorry, students.
All right, good. All right,
What
terrific.
about promoting class time?
I'm sorry?
Are we allowed? No.
Yes,
Yeah.
This one, we really.
Okay, okay. Okay.
No, she was.
You're right, that was a knee jerk.
Okay, Michael, would you please talk about the final project? The reason we're talking about it, we're going chronologically now through the syllabus, but we're talking about this at midterm because there's a day in the middle of the semester where it's listed where you introduce the final project to everybody. And so that's what we're talking about right now. So go ahead, Michael, and I'll bring it up while you're.
Yeah, so the final project is a reflection of their semester. They have to answer one or two prompts.
I think it's 2 prompts for,
They answer 2 prompts about their term and their specific questions. And then after they submit the reflection, they are to do a 1 to 2 minute presentation about their reflection. Simple, straightforward. They don't have to create any presentations or anything. It's a simple dialogue conversation. It expands on it for 102, but for this one, it's a simple submit the written assignment and present it in class.
right.
Cut
And,
dry at the end. Some of them make it harder than it has to be. I don't know why. I think it's pretty straightforward. But they kind of like start going down this dark hole and they're just like that part too. Because the important parts are in bold up there. So yeah.
College 101 has 3 prompts there, Michael. I don't know if you can read it from where you are.
It's a write a 2-paragraph essay in response to the following prompts. What has been your most significant personal discovery, and how has your experiences in College 101 helped you explore your purpose of college life, personal life, or potential career? And it's 500 words or less.
So they submit the essay a week before the last class, and then in class, we want them to not read the essay, but share highlights of it for a minute or 2. And then you might ask them questions too, once they finish sharing. But the point is, don't let them read the essay. Tell them to find highlights to share with us. And then we'll turn this into their College 102 final project later on, and we'll talk about that in spring. It's all written out there. You can read about the 102. It's on the handout, but it's not for College 101. Thanks, Michael. Final project, plagiarism video. Alyssa and John. We already talked about library orientation, I think, with the guests. So why don't you talk about the plagiarism video? Alyssa, do you want to start that? Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that. The video is one of the easier days, I feel. It's about 15 to 20 minutes, I think, of a little like documentary about plagiarism, what it is, and yeah, different ways that you can qualify for something being plagiarism. Sometimes the kids don't know; they think it's just copying and pasting, and sometimes it's paraphrasing and stuff like that. So we dive deep into that. I feel like with the quiz, you gotta give very specific instructions before you watch the video. Some kids want to do the quiz while we're doing it, but the quiz is 10 minutes. So they only have 10 minutes to do it, but the video is longer than 10 minutes.
Right.
And the questions are very specific, so I like to do a little bit of discussion while we're watching the video instead of expecting them to pay attention and remember all 15 minutes of it. But it is a nice little video we do at the beginning of class, and then I use the class time to do the quiz. It's already in Wilson, and it grades as soon as they take the quiz.
Yes, all the right answers are in there. Good. So to get to the video for you when you're teaching it, and if a student is absent, this is the link right here. And it's in their Wolfden, so they can just click on it. I'm gonna just go to it right now and hope it works. Okay, so now this is what you do. Find your institution or type the name of your institution. So let me just do that real quick here. Whoops. Okay, so then I click on that, bam. And then it wants me to log into my Microsoft account, and mine password's remembered. So stay signed in. Yes, I say that every time and it doesn't keep me there. Okay, so now they're transferring me to where the video is, and there it is. And then this is it. I'm not going to play it now. Upcoming maintenance. No, we don't have. Okay, good. Good. So we'll be, and then you just click play over here and it's a great little video. It's 17 minutes. Okay, good. So you get the idea. So that's how they do it if they miss the class period or whatever. That's what they need to do. Okay. All right, so let me screen share again. I think I closed it. All right, so we'll go to the next one anyway without it, but I'll go back in there in a moment. Required midterm meeting with College 101 instructor. Alyssa, if you talk about that one, and I'll get it up on the screen.
So the midterm meeting is, probably going to be while you're here. Everybody, I think, does it differently. How I like to do it is doing sign up sheets outside of my door because you're going to be whoever has time. About 10 minutes with each student. The idea is that one, they're punctual to that meeting time, and prepared in whatever way you want them to be. I think that's the questions that we ask them, but in that 10 minutes, you're going to ask them a little check-in for their semester. I think we use this for retention purposes as well. We want to check in on them, see how they're doing. A lot of this is the time where some of your kids that don't verbalize as much will probably tell you some stuff that you the rest of the semester. If they're struggling on campus with their roommates, if they're struggling in classes, excelling in classes, they're having conversations you're going to have with this check-in. And you have some kids who might not show or take it seriously, and those are the kids that we would like to send. And I think, I know last year we broke the record for the freshman class, but we also had a lot of freshmen by midterm failing college. So this is that kind of information we like to use as far as retention goes. And I think it's really good for the kids to have a break from their other midterms. They don't have to study, they don't have to memorize anything, they just have to show up and have a nice conversation with their stuff. So my office is nice and cozy. I do that in my office, or you can probably find another place to do it that's quiet, a little bit more personable. Make sure you pay attention to them when they're talking to you and all that stuff. You can be kind of busy. This is the time that hopefully they can trust you to say some stuff in those 10 minutes. Yeah. I think the question should be on there. Or on
Yeah, they're not in this one because that's just where you record the grade, but they're in our team, which I'll show them a little bit later. The prompts, yeah.
The questions I think are open. Like I use some of the questions for my own questions. Sometimes they lead into other things, but I think they want to know how you're adjusting to campus life. Any classes you're struggling with or emotionally.
This is all part of our first goal of the instructor to get to know them. So anything you want to ask them, I mean, within reason, is fine. And there's probably 9 questions. You're not going to get to all of them. So pick the ones you want. And I ask some students some questions, some students other questions. Just if you have questions you feel like we should add to that sheet, then let us know, and we can do that too. But it's a really great time to help you get to know what's going on with them and check in. One of the other purposes of the assignment, which I love, is that it teaches them when you have an appointment, you schedule it in advance, you get there 5 minutes early. I told my students, so you can be here 5 minutes before your appointment starts and wait right outside because I might be with somebody else, and then we'll bring you in. And if they miss it, which it happens every semester, somebody misses their appointment, I reschedule with them, and then I give them, that's target. That's a 10% off for the grade. They lose a point because they should have made their first appointment. So anyway, it teaches them to respect appointments with faculty members and go with it. I don't know how y'all feel about this. Some students feel nervous just because they're asked to go to a professor's office. I have a colleague who teaches sociology of all things, and she doesn't call them office hours. She calls them student hours on her syllabus. It's just a neat little, I kind of like that, but I have another colleague who likes to meet students outside of her office, on the quad, in the lobby of the music building, in the cafeteria, wherever. So you do these however you want and feel comfortable. They don't have to be in your office if you don't want them to be. So just meet with them. And at least 10 minutes with each student. So that's a lot of time. We do have one class period where we are not teaching. We just said no class today as a group because you have to go to your appointment. They only have to go for 10 minutes. We have to go for, 180 minutes or more. That's 3 hours. So for those 2 classes, that's gonna be 6 hours of appointments. You can schedule them over a couple of weeks. You don't have to do them all in a day. And if you need more time to do them than the due date listed in the rule thing, especially those of us with 2, if we need more time, of course, don't mark them tardy. We can't schedule them before that date, but just get the meeting in there at some point and give them credit whenever you do, okay? Use your judgment on that. It's a really neat, I don't know who came up with the question. Did you give us the questions, Michael?
It was a
Yeah, because they're really helpful. I like. Okay, great. So, questions on that? No? All right, then let's share this next part with you here. Using the Wolfden scheduler. Okay, where's my Zoom meeting? Here I am. Okay, good. And we're going to go to using the Wolfden scheduler now, because one of the things we all have to do is know how to do this so that we can tell our students how to do this. We might get to this a little bit in the session with our QEP person, but we might not. So if we don't, then we will get to it this way. And this little document here, again, I'm not going to go through every PowerPoint with you now, but I'm showing it to you because this is in our resources. But this right here, it just says step 1, log in, go to academics, go to online registration. This is from the student point of view, how they do it. And the screenshots should help. They have to pick the right term. Okay, things like that. Then there's lots of different ways you can get to the courses. I don't even know if I have them all in here, but there's 3 different ways you can find them. You know, you can just look for all courses and go to the bottom and find. If you want math, look for MA. That's the way you can get it. If you want, you know, whatever. Another option 2, you could select specific courses to add, and you can go this way. And option 3 is the one I use most of all. You just put the course code in there, and then you go to all the college life classes. So once they get there, you know, then they pick it, and then they add it, etc. This is the key part you want to make sure you share with your students too. They got to talk to their advisor. If their advisor doesn't contact them, it's really a student's job, but sometimes we as advisors, you all know this who've done it here for years, we have to reach out to them and say, hey, we need an advising appointment. We have seniors we have to do that with. That's not always happening, but sometimes we do. So part of it, and this is not a great assignment, but you can ask them in class. Have you set your appointment with your advisor? When is it? Registration begins for our students this fall on Monday, October 30th. The window is a week, but it does stay open until the end of the semester. So, you know, if they don't get their schedule in on time, like I said at the top of this meeting today, give them some grace if it's a hold or something, and just let them make sure they get a schedule in. That's the main thing. Yes.
Speaking of holds, make sure that they know to go into Wolfden and check their clearance status. That's important for them to know their clearance status.
And they just go to online registration for that, right?
Now, what you do, you can see it on the online registration, but see the type status. Yeah, they go under the homepage of Wolfden and they scroll down. They either have a red.
Okay, so it's
red
right
or
there on the
green.
homepage. That's
it,
right.
It tells them underneath there, see student account, see financial records.
Good, good. Yeah, that's important. And yeah, okay, good. Because they won't be able to register. So what do you do? Those of you who taught college life before, what do you do when a student tells you, I don't really want to do a schedule because I'm thinking about transfer? How do you all answer that? What do you say, Ace?
Because I had my children this last semester. She was adamant that she was not doing that. That's okay, we'll do it anyway. Next thing you know, she's here.
She's here.
She would have missed those classes.
Ace, what do you like?
I have similar advice. I tell them it's a lot easier to drop a schedule than it is for us to scramble because maybe the transfer didn't go through like you thought it would, financial situations changed, and I tell them, let's just make a schedule. And then, you know, we get to the end of the semester, and you're like, you know what, this is for sure happening. I just go in and drop it. Especially for our exercise science students where you have like 50 students vying for like the same 25 seats in physics. Each button class that can drop very easily. And usually they're like, you're right. So, but again, I can push that a little bit more with exercise science. You have something that it's a major that's not maybe quite as tight with that kind of stuff. Or because I'm already thinking like education is so lockstep, nursing is so lockstep, and you have to keep this class in a certain order. If you have one of those majors, that
course, you got somebody who's definitely transferring. Show me your schedule from where you're going.
Yeah, that's fine too. That's fine too. Worst, yes,
Can't be, maybe other people don't know about it, like maybe someone.
Absolutely.
Tackle it, and then do what Carl and Hazen said, it's just, hey, fill it out and decide that anyone come back and drop it.
and this assignment, however you want to see it, you see it. Most of the written, all the written assignments, if they don't turn it in Wolfden, they shouldn't be getting credit for it. But this one here is different. I mean, if they show you on their phone and you are okay with it, give them credit for it. That's fine.
The conversations I find more that when they have polls, why they have polls, because I'm somebody else somewhere, I'm not blaming them, but like, why am I having to have this conversation about why they, or, you know, they may know about it, they may not, but I think those conversations are a lot harder to have versus.
They are, and you're having the conversation because you're the college life teacher.
I know, yeah.
And we're their parents here. In some respects, we are. I mean, we really are. So, I mean, they're going to come to, and the other thing is, if all else fails for this schedule assignment, if they have holds and they just can't, tell them to write out a list of 6 or 8 classes that they want to take. They can go in the online registration and turn them into a document, say, I want to take these 6 classes in the spring, and tell them to turn that into. These are the ones I'm going to take when I get my holds, you know, and then you'll know, I mean, it doesn't accomplish our goal of getting the schedule in the system, but at least we know what their intention is and that they're going to want to be here and stuff like that. Because this is a retention tool too for us. So that's what that assignment is about, the online registration and making sure they have a schedule. Anything else on that from anybody? Good. I think we explored almost every scenario. I think it's good that we've been doing this for a few years. We all have different ways of handling all these different things. That's good. So one of our class periods around the time when they're doing registration is going to be to talk with our students about what is a Newberry College education in the liberal arts tradition. It doesn't mean they're all majoring in liberal arts. Obviously, we have lots of arts. But when we talk about having a liberal arts background, this is what we want to show them. This PowerPoint's going to be in your resources, and you'll be able to do it. You know, first we start with our mission statement of the college, and let them explore that. You can talk with them about that, about what it means and what phrases stick out to them. There are notes other notes in this one. I don't know if there are notes in this one or not. I forget. Maybe I'm not seeing them here. Well, anyway, there might be notes. I think there are notes in this one that will help you as you talk through it. But this is the statement that's on our syllabi, the statement on vocation. This is in every syllabus that we put out now at the college, and it's certainly in our college life one too. And again, you can go through this with them because this is all the backdrop, and then this is how Newberry College was founded. And that's what we were trying to train people for all jobs. And, you know, if you think about today, I don't know what the statistics are, but not many, you probably found this out with your table mates in our purpose journey a little while ago. Not everybody stays in the same job their whole life, right? Most of us switch around and have switched around. So yeah, so talk about that. And this is one of the goals. Then we talk about what the liberal arts education teaches and how it's beneficial. We go into the core curriculum and how that supports the mission of the college. And this helps them too, because they're going to say, I don't want to take a math class. Well, here's why you need to take it. Here's why you take one history or global learning. We don't really, I mean, most of you know our core curriculum. You're just learning it, but it's not specific classes, it's areas of classes in a big way. And that is what is shown on this document right here. It's just red, not because it's an emergency, but it's Newberry College red. So that's why this one is a red slide. But anyway, it's got all the different areas, and I hope that you will be able to tell them what all these abbreviations mean. Like REL and SP and WI and IQ and SB. We should know what all those mean and be able to tell them what that means. And then there is a handout in the Wolf Den, I'll show it to you in a minute, with what classes count for each of these tags. And that will help them say, oh, okay, this History 112 can count for my GL class because it's on that. So it's about matching it up. And the more we teach our students to do this, the more their advisors are going to love them, because then they can do a lot of their class selection in the future. And then we summarize it, and we, you know, that's the end of it. So this PowerPoint is in the resources. I hope that you'll share it with them. There's also a PDF document that's just a narrative of all of this that David Rachel's wrote. And Dr. Rachel's, he's been here 10 or 15 years now. He's the director of he's the chair of our core committee right now. And so it's a good little document that'll just help you with that. So that's the liberal arts lesson that we do, and you have that to help you with it. All right? And we're doing that strategically around the time they're doing registration, because it all relates. Academic policies, John was saying, we have a lesson where we're talking about academic policies. Go ahead.
Yes, absolutely. Academic policy, this is a very good time to take the children or show the children where the academic catalog is, and kind of go through some of the things within the academic catalog. So in that catalog, it has all the type of information on our policies, on academic integrity. Also, within this class session, we can go over again about how to calculate a GPA if you want to have your students again calculate what they think their GPA is going to be at the end of the semester based off of what their grades are at that time. That's a good time to do it in that class. I think it's also a good time in that class when we talk about the academic policies is making sure the children understand what promotion is all about. Because I have students come in, oh, I've been out of high school for 3 years, so I should be a junior. No, promotion is based off of the number of credit hours that you earn. And so that is listed in the catalog. In order for you to be classified as a sophomore, you have to pass at least 24 credit hours. In order for you to be classified as a junior, you have to pass 56 credit hours. As a senior, it's 9 credit hours. So they need to understand how promotion actually works because we do have some children who have been here for like 3 years and only have earned like 40 credits. I'm like, no, you are a sophomore, you're not a junior, based off the number of credit hours that you have. So just so they can understand those different type of policies, that would be very helpful.
The flip is when you have a student that comes in with dual enrollment and they've got 48 hours, they are still considered a first semester freshman because the registrar doesn't give them those hours transferring in doesn't go into the total queue. And then to do what John's talking about, 30, 60, 90, till the end of the first semester when they do final grades. So I had a lot of freshmen screaming like, I should be a sophomore. And like, no, not yet. Still. Oh yeah, no, I've got one right now. I got 2. Okay, they just have to wait. It doesn't calculate the system until the first time the GPA is calculated at new degree, and then it adds it all.
That's trying to chill.
Yeah, just chill.
So the syllabus, which we'll look at in a second, the syllabus includes what academic policies we're asking you to cover with them. And so, look those up a couple days before. If you can't find it, shoot an email to John or to me or to Michael or Alyssa or somebody, and we'll help you with that. Okay? Yeah, what else?
Then I'll go talking about addressing faculty. Anybody got an email that said, hey, bro? Hey, this,
I don't even say, hey.
Yeah, so and we gotta remember that these chaps don't know what they don't know. And so we have to teach them the proper ways to actually address faculty members, either in person or with written communication. Because sometimes, if you get an email from the student before they even get here, first impression is the last impression. And sometimes you be like, somebody says, hey, bro. I'm like, yeah, hey, bro, how you doing? Yeah, so when it comes to professionalism is big. So we have to get them off to a good start from a professionalism standpoint through college life. So we can talk to them about the do's and the don'ts of how to communicate with faculty members and with staff members and with our upper administration. That will be very, very, very helpful. Also, tell the children that when they're sending an email is not a text message. When you write an email, you write in complete sentences. You capitalize stuff. The letter U is not a substitute for the word you. That's not how it works. So, like I know I'm being but it's this stuff that they just don't. They should know when you think that you know. It's stuff that they don't know. So,
subject. Oh, that's the other part too.
The whole email.
But it's funny when you think of they're the age they grew up with computers, like I said, not really, they use phones for everything, so don't assume that they just know how to do it.
We do
Let
have.
me ask this on this topic, but similar, because if I missed it, I'm sorry. Talking about professionalism, how to communicate. We don't have a dress code. And I get it that freshmen come to class, mine's 7:45, or 7:45, and I don't care if they're like in their flannel pajamas in the winter, but some of these girls come in here with their hair all, up in and curlers, and I'm just wanting to just going, you aren't gonna make it in the hospital. So, does anybody else have that issue, or is it just because I'm just so early? And I don't want to get in trouble picking on anybody, because we know how.
Well, right, I
we
mean,
different,
we know
how
some people are
different
differently prepared for college. And, I don't usually ever say anything about dress code, except for certain classes. But for college life, it's whatever you want in your classroom. I mean, you teach them, you're teaching future nurses, so there might be a reason for it.
Yes, and I mean, I don't want to see everything God gave them sticking out.
Well, there you go.
And that, again, that's my old fashionedness, and I'm trying not to be ugly, but I mean, some of these kids on campus.
We have faculty who have policies that say you can't wear a cap in class, and okay. I don't know what to do about dress code. You do what you want in your college life class with it. In speech class, I will tell you that we tell them to dress dressy casual and not wear distracting clothing, not with logos and stuff.
Yeah.
But we can't make them dress in business attire. Not all of our students have
No,
business attire. So, but yeah, reasonably covered would be always a good thing.
Well, and my only comment is usually, as I say, sort of in the beginning, just to give you a heads up, ladies. The guys aren't gonna buy the cow if the milk's free. So let's leave something to the imagination.
Maybe you have those conversations with them.
Okay. It's looking to be like, and maybe I'm on the market. Check that. What?
Gym, they work out, my legs, they come and they smell. And I'm always like, they can have a shower. I don't care what they wear. I just don't want them to bring.
Yeah, I can talk to them about it.
Well, I can get away with that because we do it in such a big room.
I don't think that they're switching the time anytime soon.
Okay, I just know we did COVID, and I didn't know if we were going back.
We kept it because now we have 15 minutes, which is really helpful for class. Look at your particular.
Yeah, that's
We
right.
needed to keep the 15 minutes. Okay, so that's the way we did it. Yeah.
So, my understanding, as long as there is some sort of policy to school this, and it's not written in. So like I have an internship course, they're expected when they go on site to dress in a certain fashion.
Absolutely.
My lab classes, you have to choose. My classes where we're doing physical activity, I have conversations on what's appropriate physical activity wear for my classroom. Because, I mean, when I was an athlete and we're outside and it's hot, compression shorts and a sports bra was totally appropriate.
Yeah.
You're not coming into my lab setting in that situation. I have students that we do actual EKGs in class. We have to have a conversation on like, I need to use a sports bra, not a regular bra today for EKGs. So that's all laid out in my syllabus for in instances where I have.
So what I'm hearing I need to do is write the policy. And then take it to Althea.
Yeah.
And let Althea approve it and change it, or make sure that I got the right wording there.
We check is always a good thing.
As I said, my understanding is if we're going to have a situation with children that's appropriate. Because I was totally that athlete that had weights at 6:30 in the morning in an 8 a.m. class. I rolled in sketchy for fun. Like, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, I got 5 minutes and I'm not even in the lab because I want to get fucked out.
And you know what, I don't have a problem with that. They have to come in, I get that. But some of these young ladies just roll out of bed and. Well, I'll get that close. I'm just saying, again, it's just what level of.
It's probably more particular because you're early in the morning, but
yeah.
Just let them know your expectations for your classroom. That's fine. The other thing about addressing faculty is I tell them what I would prefer they call them. And I don't know if all our faculty do that or not, But I encourage the students to, I'd say, you know, you want to write an email to a professor, ask them on the first day of the class, you know, how do we refer to you? If they don't, you want to be doctor, are you miss, are you mister, are you professor, what, you know, or do you want me to call you by your first name? We have faculty here who prefer to be called by their first name, and people who won't answer unless you say doctor. So, you know, I mean, it's just people, it's the way they do it. So ask the student, that's part of them taking initiative and just being confident enough to ask.
And learning, because like you
Right.
said, they don't know what they don't know. Last year, I was Miss, all year, Miss. Just no Miss Jones, no Miss nothing. I've been doctor for 10 years. When I taught in high school, I didn't expect my high school kids to call me doctor because it's not the, you know, same situation. But here, the expectation is Professor Jones or Dr. Jones. So I found myself correcting my students a lot, but it's not that they were very rude. They just truly didn't know.
Would any, I mean, I don't know about our colleagues, all our colleagues, but the default might be professor. If you don't know what else to say, you can tell them, because I feel like they're not gonna go too wrong if they say professor.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
That's what it got you.
I had a good last year.
Yeah.
Like, brought up issues that they don't ask questions back because they're not always sure of the free status or whatever. And I'm like, then just say Professor Smith, like.
there you go.
They're like, oh, that makes sense. Like, because I don't want to offend a doctor by Mr. Smith, but I don't. Yeah, like I got emails from my kids that said Dr. Lamb, like, off the break.
So that's one of the things we're gonna teach them in class. It's not till November, but you can address some of this earlier if you want to. So that's good. You have time.
And that's been trying to talk.
Annette, go ahead.
So I want to go back to the email thing. So, when I left one college and came here, I brought my email etiquette that I present here. I had it in the syllabus as developed. However, 2 years ago here, after we had that professional development meeting, we were told to take it out. So I took it out of my syllabus. I had the email etiquette because when they were emailing me, when I first came here, it was hey. It wasn't Dr. Hunter, it was hey. And that was it, no name, hey. You know, do we have to do this or whatever, but it was always hey. I go in the classroom, it would be, hey, you. I started looking around, who they talking to? But is it right now correctly that we can now talk about email etiquette for the students?
There's a difference between making a policy where a student might get penalized and having teaching students etiquette in a class. It's not in our syllabus, but we have some PowerPoints that say, yes, here's how you write a professional email. And so I think there's a little difference there, but we do want to teach them to write an email in the right way. And so, yeah, go ahead and do that with this class. I don't know if you need it in your syllabus. Because
Are you saying we can't put it back in?
So
In the syllabus or just teach it in the?
I would not put it in the syllabus. No,
Okay.
I don't think it needs to be in the syllabus. I mean, we're gonna answer their emails if they write, hey, but our job is to teach them to not do that constantly and not do that in the future. I think that's the line, that's the difference. So
let me ask this then, will you share what you used to have in it so that we can use?
Well,
it?
we got one, we got a PowerPoint. Yeah, I'll show you when I get to the next section.
That's cool. Now,
We have a PowerPoint with what you can, you know, share with them and it's fine. One more point on this and then we'll move on.
I kind of found out if I respond to them professionally, if they respond to like, hey, or whatever, and I respond to them professionally, the next email I get back, whole different.
Yeah.
I mean, they.
And I responded flat out and say, you know, typically we address faculty with this and this, so in the future, and they'll write back and say, oh, thank you, because sometimes they just don't know. Yeah.
I mean, like my daughter says, I text and mom text.
All right, Michael. Oh, go ahead. One more thing, John. One more thing. Then we're gonna move on to Mike.
Make sure they also know that they need to be checking using their Newberry campus email address.
Yep.
Please do that.
Early on, yeah.
Tell them to check it at least once a day. That's my last.
And we encourage you all to always use just their Newberry email address if you like them, because they gotta use it. Michael, stress management and counseling.
Okay, so, counseling part there, so as you guys know, as I said earlier, Ashley Williams is now the director of health and counseling services. She is the only counselor we have right now. We're actually another one for the office. In lieu of that, also have signed a contract with telecounseling, which is a 24/7 service that a student can access at any time. Via phone, so that if there is a crisis after hours, there can be a record of it, and then actually can do some initial outreach afterwards as well. So there is
Is that a
basically.
free service to the
Yes,
students now?
free to the
Great,
students. So
okay.
that information will be out there. They'll just report back to us what they get. This is our way of trying to meet our growing student population needs with mental health. So we'll have that information out there, hopefully soon, but we did sign a contract. So.
Awesome.
Um,
Great, because it's 24/7.
that was what we were going for. Yep.
Well, they need to know.
Well, it's most of the crises that students have happen in the wee hours in the
Yep.
morning when we're all asleep because we have normal lives. The stress management one, that activity is actually one of the ones I really enjoy. For me, I actually do the marshmallow activity. I don't know if you guys know this, so I put a bag of marshmallows together, varying in sizes. And what I do is I give everybody a bag, and then we start sharing what's stressing us. And if you agree with it, you throw the marshmallow with each other.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
but that's the cleanup.
We do it
Free.
Okay,
We do that so.
good.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
So how do we, because I've had this happen quite a bit last semester when Ms. Poston also. So the students were coming to us and they were saying, oh, I have to take some mental days, I'm sorry, so you won't see me in class. So how do we handle that if they?
Get a medical, you can check under the health. Well, I do.
John, Michael, do you want to address that? Either of you two?
I mean,
Are we the only ones that kind of experience, we all have that too?
I'm not.
Well,
That's what you guys are doing.
I guess.
I mean,
So you go, Elise.
Give it out.
I mean, that's kind of, in my mind, what I tell them at the beginning is, you get this many applicants to class, you need a mental health day, that's fine. But I've never had anybody directly say, I'm gonna take a few days off my class.
I said, you don't say anything about days. I have to take some mental health days.
I mean, we have to encourage them to go to all classes. I don't ever use the phrase Michael uses. I think that is wrong. I think that's the wrong tone. It says you have this many days you can miss. I say, if you need to miss, you miss. I mean, if you're sick, you miss. It's the same thing saying it in a different way. But once they go over that limit, they have to know. And that might be a case where you might need to make a referral to the nurse, to the mental health counselor. And check with the students, say, you know, what do you need that we can help you get back in class? If you wish to offer them a blended class and you stream them on Zoom or something, that's totally up to you. Y'all can do that. We don't usually do that now after, you know, but there's lots of ways to handle that. So I didn't know the best way. Ace, what were you gonna add?
We had a quite in-depth conversation about this right before lunch, but, usually my policy with that is like, if you need a mental health day, you need a mental health day. If they've opened up, say to us, I need a mental health day. I usually follow it up with, I'm so sorry you're dealing with that. Do we need to get you in touch with some resources on campus? And this will go one of two directions. The first one is I'll get something like, I'm already talking with my therapist about it. This is a very limited situation. Usually that gets escalated to an early alert. We have a student dealing with some health issues. The other way, they could just be like, no, I just don't, which makes me kind of go, so you just want to take some days off class. I'm not going to stop them, they're an adult, but I kind of have that going in the back of my head. You know, it's like, how serious is this situation really? I have by offering that up, some students go, well, what do I have access to? And I tell them, I was like, I have an early alert system that I can get you in contact with somebody. If it's significant, I can walk you up to the counselor's office, or I can call somebody to come get you. You can sit in here, you can have a conversation. And I think if you come at it from a point of, okay, if you were to the point where you feel you need to take 3 days off of class, it's a conversation, not just, okay, I'll see you later. And they will choose to either open up about it or not. But we can't be like, so what's wrong with the HIPAA? But usually by just, you know, I have some access to resources, opens up that conversation a little bit more, and you kind of get an understanding of it. Because you also run into the situation of, are they telling the truth? Well, if they're being vulnerable, you don't want to be accusatory. If they're taking advantage of the situation, it's gonna come back to bite them, but eventually it's not my job.
Michael, doesn't our counselor give information to CSS to help
So
to coordinate some of that so that CSS could send a notice, so-and-so has been, I mean, I know they do for physical health situations.
Historically, I'll say this, the previous director, not a big fan of sharing information like that. She wanted confidential. I'm not sure what Ashley's role would be in that. I would assume she's going to want to share that information because that is important information for everyone to hear. Previous director was funny about.
Well, no, I mean,
Who was getting what?
Yeah, they don't tell us what it is, they just say so-and-so was out. Please consider this.
I would assume that she, given the initiative that Barry has put for her about improving mental health services, and I'm assuming that more resources are probably going to be.
And we could always send an email to Ashley Williams, that's her name, it's a.williams@newberry.edu, don't do Ashley, it's A. Williams. But, you can send an email to her too and say, so-and-so says they've been seeing you and they've missed class for 3 days. Yes, or, I mean, she could tell us if they've been seeing her, right? That's not confidential. That's all we need to know. Yeah, and that's all we really need. So that would verify. If the student tells you they see Ashley Williams, then we should verify that. Yeah. We do have. David, how are you?
There should be an option in early life that you can submit a confidential.
Yeah.
Confidential work goes to her.
Okay, good.
Yeah, she's one of the handful of people that got confidential.
Wow. She's got a big job.
One last one.
Sure.
One thing, the way I handle. Use our existing policy to kind of be a little bit more stern without me being able to kind of be stern. But I kind of said, it'll go in as an athlete, like, just like you're an athlete and you miss, there's no excuse, unexcused, it's all out.
Thank you. Yes.
And then with documentation, it'll be kind of excused on the back end, we'll count against you, but it's gonna go in as an athlete either way. And that kind of sends the message of, it needs to be, don't just be skipping class, it needs to be documented, that sort of thing, without the academics.
That's great. And you know, Brian just brought up a big point. I don't think I've said it yet today, but there are no excused absences at Newberry College. There are documented absences and there are absences. And that's the term I like to use. I think we're going to get that in Wilton eventually. But right now, anytime they're not in class, they're marked absent, period. Whether it's for athletics, whether it's for illness, for whatever. And then that's why the AW is automatic after 6 or 7 absences. It's something that you have to understand why they were absent. So just be aware of that. If you have any questions about that, let me know. We have one more topic to talk about, and then we're going to look at our resources. I think, John, you're going to talk about self-advocacy for the student and chain of command for when they have complaints.
Absolutely. So we talk about self-advocacy, it goes back to only college. So I always tell students, if you need to get help, you need to get help. And, you know you're going to struggle in the class, don't wait until the midterm to go get help in class. You're going to know sometimes a week into the class, whether or not the class is going to, we have challenges. That's the best Christian way to do it. And so, encouraging them to get help if they need to get help. From the standpoint of chain of command, please tell the children, we got to tell our children, if you have an issue, you don't go straight to Dr. Shannon's office. If you have an issue, you don't go straight to Dean Parrish's office. There's a chain of command. If you have an issue in a class, try to talk to the professor. If you don't feel comfortable talking to the instructor, then you go to the department chair. If that doesn't satisfy you, that's what to say, then you go to that division dean. And then we have to teach them about the chain of command. You just don't jump to the top. You have to,
So part of that is,
are you telling Dr. Sherrins to not say he hasn't written an order?
Part of that too is the students, especially first-year students, they don't know who department chairs are. Now, so if you're their college life instructor and they come to you and say, my history class, I'm having trouble with this professor, and they tell you who the professor is, and they say, I don't feel comfortable talking to them. Then you say, go see the department chair. They may ask you who's the department chair. So if you don't have that list or don't know it, just tell them, I'll check into that for you, I'll get back and I'll tell you who to contact. Call me, I know who all the department chairs are and stuff like that. Or we probably will publish a list soon this fall, because some things have changed around recently with that. But we'll publish a list so they know. And then if they're not satisfied with that, then they go to the dean of the division, not even BPAA. So yeah, so there's just been some changes structurally. We just want to teach them, and we want to encourage them to, if they don't get the grade they want on something, they shouldn't just mutter about it and write a bad review on Rate My Professor. They should ask the professor in a professional way, and we need to help them understand that. They should ask the professor and help them learn. Tell them to approach it from a learning standpoint. Because if a student comes to me and says, I understand I got a C on this, I thought I did better. Can you help me understand why I did? Of course I'm going to take my time and talk with them about it. That's the way to do it instead of why did I get a C? And that's what they have to know. Because they'll come with the first, and I don't ever discuss, even in college life, I don't discuss any grades with any student ever over email. Because it just turns into a back and forth mess. It's a fight. And so I just write back to them. I say, okay, I understand you didn't feel like this grade was warranted. When can we talk about it? And I set an appointment. And I'll talk with anybody about it. And it's just much better that way. So that's my encouragement to you to do that, but encourage them to do that with their other professors as well, instead of writing to them about it.
The other thing, taking that and relating it back to what you said earlier, they're not good at asking for help sooner than later. So what I've done, and I'm in a different position in my job, I might be able to teach, but I'm like, if you don't want to go, it's usually biology and math, So it's in the same building. I'm like, you know what? Go upstairs, find out when Dr. Clark's office hours are. If you want, I'll walk up there with you. Then I warn her ahead of time that we'll come for an hour. But I let the student do it, which if you have a good relationship with the student, you could just kind of sit back and help mediate, like introduce yourself, explain, because we all know that
sometimes they need some handholding. Okay, they do need some handholding.
And they're really good people. Don't get me wrong. My kids are scared to death.
Well, and the thing that adds to what John was saying is sometimes it's not just teaching about the hierarchy, but hey, take the emotion out of it, stick to the fact, and that's an opportunity that you.
There you go. That's it.
About that.
All right, so lots of things on your syllabus. Now, what I'm going to do next is go into our MS Teams, and all of you are members of this now. And these are all my different teams that I have shown. I hide some because I never use them. But College 101, 102 instructors. So you go there and you get to these posts, and I haven't found a way to delete these old posts yet. I don't think there is a way. If anybody knows how, tell me how, and I'll get rid of them one day. But we're going to go into files, because files is what we want to really use here. So when you go into files, there's some files. They're good. Okay, so we have one folder that says general information and handouts. This is just stuff for the course. This one here is specifics for the fall class. Those top two are the ones we're going to use the most probably. I'm going to go to those in a minute, but I want to show you what the others are first. This one here is college life instructor absence forms. I did these just for you. If you're going to be ill, if you're going to miss for whatever reason, this is what we ask faculty to do. Please fill in one of these. If it's for college life and you're a faculty member elsewhere, like Clay is, like Aislinn is, and you filled one in for your department chair, just send me a copy of that. These aren't stuff that I have to approve. It's notification. Okay, it's notification. If you're a staff member and you don't usually fill these in, fill it in and send it to me for college life if you have to be out. And hopefully you have a plan. One's for illness, one's for personal. It doesn't really matter. I mean, you decide what it is. Some people fill in the online form and then all your information stays there. So what I would recommend you do is download this and save it on your own computer and then send me that one, okay? Don't just fill it in and leave it here, because then it's here. Everybody else gets to read it too, yeah. So that's that. So then I'm going to go back. That's the absence forms tab. Okay, let's go back to general. Yeah, okay, good. This right here is general information flyers. I'm going to ask Alyssa to send me the music schedule. I'll pop it in there. When we get another document about the Duffer Diversity and Inclusion Week, I'll pop it in there. There's nothing in this folder right now because I don't have any flyers for the fall yet, but I'll get them. And
Michael's not having any more.
That's where those will be. Do what?
Because Michael's putting all his electronic.
Right. Well, we have a link for the 56. That's already in there somewhere, which is great. Events for responses. You will also get every week a weekly bulletin from Marshall Maddie. And in this weekly bulletin, there are events listed. Every Monday morning we get that. It's probably not gonna come out before your class, Kay, but so you tell them on Wednesday. But anyway, there's events for the week listed and for their event responses. They're all reviewed in there. And when times and dates change from what's in the flyer, this way you can tell them in class and say, hey, don't forget Denver Diversity Week. You gotta go see your event this week. And you can put, I wouldn't recommend putting all those weekly bulletins in here, but other schedules might be in here. This is the absence. Okay, so those are those. This is for College 102. We're not going to get to that. This is our list that all of you have seen by now because some of you have been doing this for a while. And anybody who's new, I sent this to you via email, or I should have, but it's right here. It's our student learning outcomes and our program learning outcomes. I hope that you just kind of, these are on the syllabus too. Just read them over again before the first day of class so you know why you're doing what you're doing. All right, I got to get to close. Okay, there it is right there. Great. And then, so these are all, and the other document in here is the academic calendar. I'm not going to open that. This is downloaded from our website. This is the academic calendar. If you want to know class days, if students want to know class days, exam days, whatever. Okay, so the one I'm going to go into now, this one is the general information handouts. These are things that you might use at any time during the semester. So we have in here our academic event response grading rubric. This is the same one that's in the Wolf Den, but if you want to show it in class as a Word document, this is it right here. And you can use that as a teaching tool to let them know what you're expecting in the response before they do one. The College 101 event response, well, that's the same one that's in their assignment. The vocation statement. These documents right here, the purpose pack, the purpose puzzle, those are the ones that Krista was talking about in her video. She will reference those again when she comes into class, but they're right here for you if you want to use them or show them to them later. And this one right here, steps to access and submit assignments in Wolf Den. This was made by another person who used to teach this class who no longer works here, but it's a pretty good thing. It's pretty complicated. You can teach them how to submit things in Wolf Den how you want to. If you wish to use those, that's why it's there for a resource. All right, so those are all the documents that are in the general info and handouts for all semester. And then the ones that you're probably really going to want to use, and I've been saying, yeah, I'll show you that later. So what I've done here is we've got a, I broke the semester up into weeks, and the stuff we're teaching on these days, you'll find some resources for those lessons in these different folders. The first one is from August 21st to 31st. So this is the first 2 weeks of class, and you might want to use these different items that are in here. So we got a couple for chapter 1 and chapter 2. We got a chapter 16 thing there. We have the chapter 36 handout here, which is an assignment. But again, if you don't want to open up Wolf Den, if you have Teams open, you can get it here. Some of them are overlapped, and they're in Wolf Den and they're in Teams. But that's just, we want you to be able to find them wherever you want them. And then the last one here is the Exploring with Purpose letter assignment. So yeah, we're going to be using all these in the first couple of weeks of classes. That's why they're in this folder. So look there. And again, if you invent something that goes there, then pop it in here and add it. Okay, let's go here again. Come on now, back up. Okay, why aren't you backing up? Am I not clicking on it? There it is. Okay, good. So then week 2, you'll see some different things in there. There's a couple of these that I want to open up for you, but here's the Clifton Strength stuff, the digital photo hunt stuff. We're going to have a visit from CSS. And then this little document here is something you might use on the next class as like a 5-minute follow-up or something. So just, again, look at these, use them as you see fit. I'm not going to go through every one of these, obviously. This personal values exploration is an additional exercise if you have time one day and you want them to do it. It relates to the purpose exploration and the Clifton Strength. So they're all by week. You have a day when you're supposed to talk about this article that I think you've all read, the Rooted and Open article. Everybody familiar with the Rooted and Open article? Yes? Okay, well, you need to get one. I'll make sure you get a copy of it. It's all about what we do here and who we are and at Newberry College. And we don't make our students read that article because it's really written for a much higher level audience member than who our audience would be if they were to read it. But what I did is I took the concepts out of that and made this, and Krista Hughes, who is trained in this, she proofed all this and made some changes to it. And so this is where we are for this. So you can go through this one and talk about the article and what it teaches and just kind of show, okay, these PowerPoints too. This is the one that I have notes in the bottom to help you with. So just kind of look at this on your own and make sure that you share this with your students on the appropriate day in class. And again, any of our assignments or anything you've been asked to teach in College 101, if you just don't get to it that class day, there are days that say purpose exploration / catch up day. And those are the day when you could take 15 minutes maybe and do this if you didn't get it finished. If you get through half of it, sometimes students will talk. Remember where you stopped and pick it up next time, that's all. So, but the rooted and open is a concept by which we try to live and act here. And it's good that our students know that. It relates to that vocational statement that's on our syllabus. All right, so that's what's all in this one. And so then every week has the assignments. What were some of the documents that I said I was going to show you later that you really want to see or anything like that? Does anybody remember? I said, yeah, there's a document for that in the teams. Yeah. Well, then I'm going to kind of leave this, but I encourage you to look through this on your own. They are kind of all organized by the dates of when we're teaching them in classes. And that's what that is right there. And there's PowerPoint. Look there first. And then send a note to someone who's taught it before, or your planning team, Michael or me or John or Alyssa particularly, and we'll try and help you find something, okay? But there's lots of resources there. And like I said, I didn't create all those. We had some professors who were really good about making some things, and just pop yours in there if you make something in the week where it goes. That's that, okay? Questions? All right, we're going to end our day. It's 2 o'clock. We have about, 20 minutes left or so. Maybe we won't be going until 3, which is nice. The last thing I'm going to ask everybody to do at the table is this. There's 2 things you really have to do in your Wolf Den. Number 1 is finish your syllabus and get it uploaded. And number 2 is to open your assignments. Now, some people like to open all their assignments for the semester. No, I'm that person. I'm that person. I want them to, well, if you don't open them now, you might want to make them all visible now so that students can see them. And there's a way to do that. If you don't know how to do any of this, now's the time to ask. We have time now to do it. And I'll stay and help anybody as long as you want to. Well, within reason. And then, but you can open the first couple of weeks of assignments at least. You need to have the first 2 open today because those are due the first day of class. The course check-in and the introductory questionnaire. Those are due the first day. They can do both in 5-10 minutes total. So they need to get those done. But you need to open assignments. Those of you that are teaching Tuesday, Thursday, where's my Tuesday, Thursday, folks? You all have to probably change the due dates of every assignment because 2/3 of the classes are actually 5/7 of the classes. Most of them are on Monday, Wednesday. So I made everybody's due dates Monday, Wednesday. So when you go in, just move them all to the day it says in your syllabus. Sometimes it's going to be a day before, sometimes it's going to be a day after because of the way our college calendar goes. But everybody has the same number of days. It's just that before Labor Day, Monday and Wednesday is a day ahead, and we have Labor Day. Tuesday, Thursday is a day ahead for a while, then we have fall break, and Monday, Wednesday takes the lead again, and they hold on until the end of the semester. We finish one day before.
Like a race.
Huh?
Just sounded like a race.
It is. No, but anyway, but that's why I can't say Tuesday, Thursday, make them all a day late. That doesn't work. Sometimes they're a day early. So just look at that. If you don't know how to change due dates in Wolf Den, let me know and I'll walk you through it. You'll pick it up like that. But that's what you need to do. And the syllabus needs to be uploaded. I already have the course policies in there, that document. So if you've got your syllabus done and you've got your things open and you don't need to change the due dates, maybe you look on with someone else for a little while, and then we're going to adjourn. But I guess I'm going to move that last item up. Does anybody have any final comments? Because then we're going to work in small groups and people can leave as they get things done. We're going to end a little early because I really want you to take the time now today to go ahead and put your syllabus in and send it back to me. And I just sent you that revised version of the syllabus. So if you haven't sent me yours already, use that one. But get your syllabus in there now, get your assignments open now, change the due dates now, because you have an hour now that we were supposed to be here, and we're not gonna be here until 2-3 o'clock, obviously, which is great. But do that, and then uploading your syllabus. I mean, you can upload the file or you can make it a content. If you want to know how to make it content, my syllabus is right there when they go to the syllabus tab. They don't have to click and open a Word document. I import it into the Wolf Den. If you don't know how to do that and you want to, let me know and I'll show you. But what final comments do you all have? Any member of the planning committee have a comment first? Alyssa or John or Michael, you have anything you want to add at the last minute? No? Anybody else have any comments about today that you want to add?
I have one clarity.
What's that?
Nobody else. When we have our guest speakers, are we gonna do with mine, what we did before, where they come to call?
No, yes, yours are coming to COM, but everybody else is coming here.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, everybody else is coming here. Oh my gosh, did I forget our break this afternoon? I think I did. I totally went right through the break. Wow, how do you like that? Oh, was it louder? Okay, David, go with your announcement and then I'll do one more thing and then we'll break into small groups and get your syllabus done.
So yesterday, a gift manna came from heaven. 1,100 cups of ramen. 1,100 cups of ramen.
I gave my kids this for Christmas. And graduation.
That might be a reason why it came from heaven. But and I will give. But I'm passing it out as a reminder that we are looking for.
Right, so they sound excited.
We're looking for some.
We're looking for this. It serves as a reminder that we're taking donations for food, for the pantry, for the Wolves Pantry. So, take it home, but I will probably come up with a creative, recipe contest. Who can come up with the best recipe and they'll, I don't know what else, but.
We'll make video of them and we'll post them on TikTok and then you can get them.
That's like a golden moment.
That's it.
So yeah, so I'll get y'all some, and encourage your students to come to the pantry. We have a lot of donations over the summer, cooked for the students that were here. The students utilized it, and encourage them on a tour or something. And I hadn't looked at the assignment for the photo thing, but have them go do there. Some did a class project where they collected, and then brought it over. So I encourage y'all to do that as well, for that.
Random question, are we doing any drives or anything like that? Maybe the past class.
So-
No action plans for them.
Yes. We did some in the spring. We did can openers, and we used the money to buy some can openers. So we have probably 25 can openers in the pantry. A lot of those vegetables and things didn't get gone, so they went to Living Hope, and Living Hope is the folks who gave us the ramen.
They couldn't get rid of it either.
Oodles and noodles. So we are doing another campaign and a celebration sometime in September for that. I just have to round up.
So,
Anybody else have drive-in policy? Party meals, international foods, Dr. Richardson just ordered a bunch of jelly, to come to the campus through Amazon. She just did it and shipped it.
so now they need peanut butter.
So, well, I've got a good case of peanut butter.
Oh, good.
So, over that. Anything but ramen?
Anything but
Breakfast foods, we are doing toiletries. Toiletries are doing pretty good, and I've got tons of school supplies. I have way too many 3-inch or 2-inch binders, so please come up with a project for 2-inch binders. Teachers, teaching education folks, if y'all need nursing, if y'all need binders.
I know most of it's online now.
Right. So they can draw some. Business department, I need y'all to come up with a project. Yeah, I'm an equal opportunity offender.
We got enough now, we're gonna have to move and stuff.
So thank y'all for supporting the pantry. Thank
So
you for all
our
of you.
food pantry for you new Newberry College people, our food pantry opened just last fall, right? And it's a great source for students who, don't have the means or the ability to go off campus and get something late at night or, whatever. And David runs it out of the campus ministry house, the Weber house, and it's wonderful. So, please donate if you can, when you can, and keep that going.
And we have pickup locations in Holland, Chapel, and at the Weber House.
Great. So good. So the last thing I want to call everybody's attention to is on the board over here. And so if you're doing your syllabus right now, if you want to take a second, just look up at the board. I would have done a new word cloud today, but I really forgot how to set it up. So I don't remember. We did this once at the end of this session about 2-3 years ago. I don't remember when we did it. And I kept this one. But these are just, I said, what are the qualities you think you need to have to be a successful College 101 instructor? And these were the words that popped up. And you see the big giant one in turquoise there.
Okay, okay. Star.
Okay.
7:45. 58 kids. Let's see how many.
I imagine we'd get similar words if we did one now, and I like this design, so I just keep it. And I like to end our session with this because it's just a good reminder of who we are and what we want to be with our students and what we want to try and accomplish. So I hope that this session was helpful to you. I enjoyed the conversation back and forth. And as I said, you just got an email from me this afternoon with the version 3 of the syllabus. Use that one if you haven't. The difference is this. I'll tell you what it is, Kate.
What?
The assignment is called the Exploring with Purpose letter. And I think in the first version of the syllabus it said essay. And it's a letter. We changed it a little bit this year.
Oh, okay.
It's just a letter. So now it's called letter. That was the major change. So it's not a big deal, Carlton. You already did yours. Just, leave it like it is. Don't redo yours. Okay. But yeah, so if you already sent it to me, Angela, you already did. You don't have to redo it. So it's no big deal. But just go ahead and send me your syllabi because then I will send all the college life ones to the Office of Academic Affairs. Normally, faculty, both part-time and full-time faculty, send them all to a faculty support person. College Life doesn't really have a faculty support. I mean, I can ask, obviously, Angela or Sandy Smith or someone to help, but I don't. So except for lunch. Thank you, Angela. Very nice. We have lunch because Angela took it out. I called her 2 days ago. I go, I have to have lunch. Can you help? And so she did. She did. She just took it out and said, how about we just
I was like in 30 seconds, I'd already emailed her.
Man, it was
I'd have
great.
forgotten.
That's it. Well, that's what you do when you get those lunch requests. So anyway, great. So yeah, if you've got your assignments open, if you've got the Tuesday, Thursday dates changed, if you've got your syllabus uploaded and you send it to me, by gosh, then I guess this is done for you. Bryant.
Bit random, but I noticed throughout today going through stuff, one thing that we don't explicitly address, at least in name and identifying it, is the student handbook. And I don't know if that's something that maybe.
Yeah, there's one time when we do there's one, oh man, it's in the teams there. That's the one I should find for you. There is a place where we make them go to it. It's an activity that you can do. It's on one of those sheets in the teams. I'll find it and let you know which one it is. I'll do that right now. But yeah, so you can find that, and it's I think it's the Wolf Den but I think it's the website scavenger hunt. Yeah, I think we also go to the student conduct handbook right there. Yeah. So do that. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think you should.
There aren't too many times that we go and say, this is in the student handbook, you should be familiar.
Okay. All right, good. All right, folks. You're out if you want to go. Thanks so much for your attention and your participation. Let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you to you and the team. This was good. I know we were cutting off.
He admitted it.
Take the coats off.
Oh, I'll take another. But that's the whole box.
Take them off.
I got one, I got two.
Someone take these Sprites with them. I don't drink sodas. Anybody want this extra firehouse stuff?
No, I got half of mine.
I got an hour drive.
Here you go.
You're gonna be on, that's why I said.
There you go. All right, good.
John, you're
They've been here since this morning, but they're still here.
That may not have everything I've ever done.
Trust me.
I know, you'll be calling me, I know.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Good job. John, thanks you guys.
Sorry,
I don't think I have those permissions. Some things I need to like, I'll have to.
There are some things
Yeah.
I do.
Anyway, yeah.
I don't want to be wrong. Like we have.
Yeah.
One more, Brian.
If you go twist my arm, I can put it in. See you later. I'm not, I mean,
Whatever.
So, Michael.
Everybody else need a bottle of water? So there's a list. Take the whole box. Take the whole box. Yeah, I don't want. That'll be some. All right, we're gonna end this recording.
All of those were classmates in the class of 16.